towards the enormous python and extending its tongue. Is this really happening? In an astonishing turn of events, the large python regurgitated Yin fondly and then, in an unexpected display of camaraderie, gently licked the small white snake, seemingly treating it with kindness. You understand the language of snakes, don't you? Han Li inquired, glancing at Yin fondly in disbelief. Yin fondly grotesquely remarked, "It seems this python has taken the white snake as its progeny, thus sparing us. Is there such a fortunate circumstance?" Subsequently, Han Li and his companions not only established a cordial rapport with the python, but it also personally guided them into the depths of the tomb. There, to their astonishment, they uncovered a trove of treasures. Yin fondly could hardly believe it. Had he known, he would have ventured into tomb raiding himself, given the abundance of riches. The python flicked its tongue, seemingly indicating, "Take what you will." Fan Shui interjected, "These are cultural relics. They cannot be sold." A luminous jade pot caught their eyes. "Isn't this an ancient bronze artifact?" exclaimed one, overwhelmed by the value of each discovery. "Incredible. Han is truly remarkable." Han Li mused. "Is it a crime to casually hand over a collection of cultural relics? Each piece would suffice for the production team to indulge in a fine drink." The crew was left speechless. What luck! Encountering a tomb and stumbling upon such artifacts? Unbelievable. The director, in a flurry, urged, "Quickly, secure a loan." "Nonsense." The director slapped him, exclaiming, "These are cultural relics. We must submit them to the state, and we shall receive compensation. Forget about loans." In his desperation, he even resorted to using his privileges to contact Han Li, insisting, "These artifacts must be submitted to the nation." Han Li replied, "I am no fool. I seek my reward." The director, resigned, ultimately offered him a substantial bonus in exchange for the relics. This significant event soon sparked a considerable uproar. Meanwhile, Han Li and his companions refrained from recklessly handling the artifacts, instead providing the production team with their location, preparing to exit the tomb. "I have a brilliant idea." Han Li gazed at the colossal python beside him. Meanwhile, down below, Ertzi and the others arrived at the designated meeting point. He lit a cigarette, taking a few puffs while waiting for Brother Han and the others. 20 minutes had passed. Could something have gone awry? Suddenly, a thunderous noise erupted. The group, startled, turned their gazes towards the nearby woods, witnessing trees inexplicably falling. What colossal creature could this be? Could it have stolen an armored vehicle? In the next moment, Ertzi and his companions realized their own naivety. Under the moonlight, the massive python glided down like a mythical dragon, stirring the branches with fierce grace. Casting a chilling glance at the group, it was a sight to behold. Goodness, has it been nurtured with steroids? Ersan, overwhelmed, lost control of his bladder. "Run! It's a monster!" Ertzi scrambled into the vehicle, panic-stricken. At that moment, a familiar voice rang out. "Where are you going, Ertzi?" "Huh, that voice." Chapter 201, The Twist. Lu Dong's Revenge. Has Han Li been shot? The voice belonged to none other than Brother Han. Ertzi halted, summoning his courage to look up at the immense python, where a figure stood confidently. Han Li, arms crossed, exuded authority. "Wow, Brother Han, your steed is magnificent. Incredible. Is this creature truly tameable?" Yin fondly relayed to them the astonishing story of their unintentional entry into the tomb and the subsequent discovery of a multitude of relics. Truly remarkable. One could easily pen an entire novel. Where's the fourth one? Yin fondly pondered, perplexed by the absence of the young lad. The second brother rubbed his nose, offering a sheepish grin. "Ah, that child has fallen asleep. I see." Meanwhile, deep within the mountains, the special forces exchanged glances, confronted by the terrifying remnants of destruction, shattered branches, and a scene of utter chaos. A colossal python slithered past them, nodding its head in a peculiar gesture of politeness before vanishing from sight. Did I just imagine that? "Captain, shall we continue the pursuit?" The captain gritted his teeth, recognizing the gravity of the situation. Lives are paramount. Coughing, he decided to take a detour. Consequently, the special forces lost their singular opportunity to apprehend Han Li. "Without further ado, let us board the vehicle," Han Li declared, dismounting from atop the python. He had no intention of bringing such a behemoth into the city. It was best to allow it to return to its natural habitat. Evidently, the python felt a tinge of reluctance, affectionately nudging Han Li before turning away, reluctantly disappearing into the dense forest. "What is this flute?" Yin fondly inquired, intrigued. Han Li picked up the flute, smiling as he replied, "This was gifted to me by the python. Who knows, it may prove useful in the future." Eventually, Han Li and his companions reunited with the second brother, and the group promptly boarded the vehicle. "From here on, we simply need to hand these over to the crew," Han Li stated. "This case can be considered closed." Throughout their journey, they encountered no hindrances. The second brother navigated the vehicle to a mysterious dock, where a silhouette could be discerned in the distance. In the cold breeze, the crew trembled, gasping for air. "We have arrived." Han Li and the fifth brother disembarked, preparing to deliver the contents of the trunk to the distant staff. "The trunk isn't lacking in items, is it?" The fifth brother shook his head. "Not much. Have you inspected it?" Han Li shot him a glance. The fifth brother replied, "Well, I just gave it a cursory look." "Go ahead and open it." The fifth brother hesitated. "There's nothing to worry about. Go on," Han Li urged. Ultimately, He did not possess absolute trust in these ruffians. Should the need arise to abandon them, he would not hesitate. Cold-blooded. All right. The fifth brother dared not resist, slowly approaching to open the trunk. Han Li observed as the trunk revealed a collection of templates required for a counterfeit currency operation. A considerable fortune. The fifth brother climbed in, quickly becoming engulfed by the chaotic assortment of templates. Initially, Han Li paid little mind, but after 3 minutes, he furrowed his brow, sensing something amiss. Where's the fifth brother? Fifth brother? What is happening? Han Li immediately became alert, instinctively drawing his specialized firearm. Aiming it towards the trunk, a human presence should not generate silence unless something had gone awry. Suddenly, a creaking sound echoed, prompting Han Li to prepare to pull the trigger. Don't shoot, Han Ge, I found it. It's the fifth brother. Han Li exhaled in relief. This fellow. He lowered his weapon. Why were you so quiet? The items were overwhelming. My apologies, the fifth brother chuckled. Han Li dismissed his concern, taking the templates and turning to approach the distant crew. Just then, a click echoed, causing Han Li to halt in his tracks. He could distinctly feel a gun pressed against the back of his head, the cold, dark muzzle resting directly against his scalp. He dared not relax for even a moment. Who are you? The audience in the live broadcast room was utterly stunned by the scene unfolding before them. The figure standing behind General Han was none other than Captain Lu Dong, the very man who had previously bested him. What was happening? How did he suddenly appear here? Han Li's mind was racing. Lu Dong, clad in a trench coat, emerged from the trunk, grinning as he addressed Han Li. I owe you a debt of gratitude for your guidance to my beloved apprentice. You were hiding in the trunk all along. Han Li questioned incredulously. Indeed. I was utterly exhausted. I even wet my pants out of fear and could not dare to show my face, all to await this moment. Lu Dong's grin was grotesque, reminiscent of a hunter reveling in the joy of a long-awaited catch in the frigid wilderness. This was his plan B. Han Li was taken aback, letting out a resigned sigh. Was this truly necessary? No, I do not harbor any hatred towards you. Rather, I am grateful for your role in Li Yi's growth. Truly, Han Li, I sincerely thank you. Lu Dong's words were heartfelt, yet his finger tightened ever so slightly on the trigger. Ruthless, Yan Fanli, Han Li shouted. Stop calling out. He and that young lady are already asleep, Han Ge. The voice belonged to Air, who swaggered over with Lao San and Lao Wu, his previous jovial demeanor replaced by a fierce expression. I apologize, he simply gave too much. Inside the car, Yan Fanli glared in disbelief. Unable to fathom that his own brother had betrayed him, Fan Shui had long since fallen into a deep slumber. You've been tricked, Han Ge. Run. There's an officer lying in wait in the trunk. Lao San remarked. In this world, one must endure cuts and bruises, Han Ge. It's a pity about Lao Si. His head's muddled, and he truly fell for you. Lao Wu waved his hand dismissively. Officer Lu, this has nothing to do with us, right? Captain Lu smiled, of course. It has been a pleasant collaboration. Go, there's a mole among us. Damn, so well hidden. I was deceived. Air cursed. You truly deserve this, Lao Air. Han Li quickly realized that Air and his accomplices had already been bought off by Lu Dong. When did this happen? It must have been on their way to rendezvous with him. Now, you shall be eliminated, Han Li. I shan't waste words. Last time, I suffered losses. Captain Lu chuckled, his finger poised to pull the trigger. As he had stated before, this time he could not afford to give Han Li even the slightest chance. The viewers in the live stream grew anxious. It can't be. General Han must have a plan. Humph. I, General Han, am so composed. I will undoubtedly turn the tables. Just wait and see. The netizens had long revered Han Li as a deity. No matter how perilous the situation, they believed he would find a way to prevail. After all, he had always managed to survive until now. This time would be no exception. However, as Han Li felt the gun pressed against his head, he couldn't help but feel an overwhelming sense of dread. This was it. Setting aside the presence of Air and the others nearby, the mere fact of the gun against his skull rendered Han Li utterly powerless. Because Lu Dong's firearm was undoubtedly faster than his own, a realization that compelled him to deliberately turn his back. Truly, he was a cunning old fox. It was hard to believe that someone like Li Yi, in comparison to this man, appeared so utterly innocent. What to do? Han Li felt that perhaps this time, he was truly at the end of his road. Farewell. My show. This time, it is truly goodbye. In the brief span of a second, Lu Dong removed the cigarette from his mouth and, without uttering a word, mercilessly pulled the trigger. Subsequently, a gunshot echoed across the dock. Chapter 202, Awakening in the Pentagon Prison of Country M? The silence of the dock was broken by the first shot. However, Han Li was not eliminated. Instead, Lu Dong stood in shock, staring at the handgun that had been knocked to the ground. This shot was not fired by him. Who could it be? Just as he turned to look, he heard a rush of wind grazing his cheek, striking the grinning second-in-command. Thud. He collapsed on the spot, a tranquilizer needle embedded in his neck. Was this also your arrangement? Han Li inquired. Lu Dong replied, no, there are others involved. Clearly, this was not the work of the police. Bang. No sooner had he uttered those words than a tranquilizer dart, shot from an unknown source, struck him, causing him to lose consciousness. Following that, the staff, including the third man, remained until only Han Li was left. Visibility was obscured, Even with his eagle-eye ability, he could not discern the opponent's location. The trajectory of the bullets was exceedingly peculiar. The adversary's marksmanship was on par with his own. In the next moment, a wave of numbness washed over him. He looked down to find a tranquilizer needle already lodged in his neck. Damn. Thud. Han Li collapsed, succumbing to unconsciousness. The live stream went black, leaving the audience bewildered. What was happening? Were they eliminated upon falling? What transpired? The production team was in shock, their connection with Han Li inexplicably severed. Han Li would never voluntarily cut off contact, indicating that someone had orchestrated this. A grave situation had arisen. The director, in a state of urgency, realized that everything had spiraled out of his control and immediately called his subordinates to confirm Han Li's real-time location. However, the news was grim. Director, it's bad. The camera of contestant Han Li has been destroyed. This was a disaster. Was it him? A well-dressed man from country and bent down to inspect Han Li. If Han Li were awake, he would surely be astonished to recognize this man as the one who had collided with him at the airport. Beside him stood another man clad in a thick winter down jacket, his head obscured, carrying a specialized sniper rifle, coldly remarking, the god of guns? Merely that much. The White Death, impressive. Finally, an explanation could be given. The man lifted Han Li's arm and discreetly removed a small sticker from the back of his hand. The sticker was, in truth, a locator. Thanks to this, they were able to pinpoint Han Li's location with precision. Now that they had him, it was time to depart. The man was impatient, eager to leave Huaxia behind. The White Death asked, are you afraid? Nonsense, this is Huaxia. With a moment's lapse, one could find themselves imprisoned. If you possess the audacity, stay and assist this man in reviving the unconscious Han Li, and escort him aboard a yacht moored at the dock. Just jesting. The White Death follows closely behind, awaiting Han Li's awakening to engage him in a decisive battle. A group of individuals set sail on the yacht, oblivious to the fact that, upon their departure, the previously unconscious Lu Dong suddenly opens his eyes, struggling to rise, cursing under his breath, scoundrel. Son, listen to me. Take this to the bank, be good. The young boy turns to glance at his father and, clutching the AK in his hands, strides toward the bank. In the reflection, the visage of young Han Li materializes. Goodness. Han Li abruptly sits upright, drenched in cold sweat. The absurdity of this dream overwhelms him. Is this memory that of the original owner? The boy must be the original owner's childhood self, as he had seen photographs. As for the man inciting him, he is the original owner's father. Yet, what kind of father would send his son with an AK to rob a bank? Returning to the present, Han Li finally perceives the peculiarities surrounding him. He finds himself within a vast, transparent glass enclosure, utterly incapable of escape. Rising from the wooden bed, he approaches the clear glass and surveys his surroundings, where countless similar boxes contain men of various skin tones, all clad in mismatched prison garb. Indeed, this is a prison? Surprised, Han Li recalls nothing after his fainting spell. He must have been brought here. Hey kid. Han Li turns to see a muscular man with brown hair in a nearby transparent cage grinning at him, as if appraising a national treasure. Are you new here? Ha. You look like a Huaxia person. There are quite a few of us here. I just wagered $100 with old by next door that you won't last 3 days. Where's this place? Han Li inquires. The man appears momentarily perplexed before bursting into laughter, mocking him as if he were a native stepping into the city. What else could it be? This is the so-called most secure Pentagon prison in the United States. The revelation strikes Han Li like lightning. He fell asleep and awakened in a foreign country? Huh. No complaints? Looking down, he discovers that the camera on his chest has been removed, indicating that he is no longer under the program's control. A sense of impending danger envelopes him. What are those people? Between the glass enclosures, long corridors are lined with guards donning black masks and wielding M4A1 rifles. I advise you to tread carefully with the prison guards. Do not provoke their ire. By the way, I am Moshi. You can call me Sharphead. Do you speak Huaxia? Yes, the previous occupant of your cell was a Huaxia person. He occasionally taught me a bit of the language. Previous? What does that mean? Where is he now? Moshi was momentarily taken aback, then waved his hand dismissively, saying, of course, you were shot dead. Just as you imagined, literally shot dead. Goodness. A summary execution. This prison is truly terrifying. Han Li scanned his surroundings, inhaling deeply to compose himself. Soon, his mind began to devise an escape plan. He had no desire to remain in this place for even a moment longer. His current predicament was perilous. Why had he been captured here? Why had the program's cameras been dismantled? His captors were clearly well prepared, harboring sinister intentions. While Han Li was engulfed in frustration, he noticed an elderly man in another glass room, lost in a daze as he drew on the glass with his hands. You are doomed, utterly doomed. He laughed maniacally, resembling a lunatic. Moshi remarked, his name is Sarivis. He was merely 12 years old when he arrived here. Now he is 70. 70 years? He had spent decades in this place. Han Li quickly grasped the reason behind the old man's erratic behavior. Who would not go mad under such circumstances? Suddenly, a shrill alarm pierced the air, startling everyone present. What is happening? Moshi looked up, already accustomed to such chaos, and scoffed. Another fool attempting to escape. TSK, how foolish. They should weigh their own worth. I wager they will be shot dead imminently. Indeed, mere minutes later. Three guards in black dragged a bloodied man past Han Li and Ma Shi, right before the eyes of the other prisoners. Han Li felt his eyelids twitch as he beheld the man. A bullet wound in his forehead. He was cold and lifeless. Bang! You come out. At that moment, a guard approached the glass room where Han Li stood, banging on the glass and glaring at him menacingly. Ah, just arrived and already leaving, kid. What is your name? Tomorrow, I shall offer incense on your behalf, Ma Shi said, clasping his hands together and mimicking a monk. Hurry up, fuck, Han Li urged, only to be met with a kick from the guard. Chapter 203, Don't rush, I am preparing to escape. Han Li was escorted to an unfamiliar room, resembling an interrogation chamber. A standing prison guard, wielding a baton, glared at him furiously. At the table sat a sharply dressed man who gestured for him to take a seat. Please, sit down, Mr. Han Li. Allow me to introduce myself. I am Mike. Affiliated with the FBI. We sincerely apologize for your abrupt arrival here, but it was unavoidable. Please take a look at this document. In the next moment, a classified file was laid out before Han Li. Upon lifting it, his expression turned icy. Is this a contract? Indeed. You are the illustrious Han Li, the notorious bandit who has astounded the world. Trust me, there is no one who values your talents more than our country. Our president genuinely hopes that you will join us, and we will do our utmost to fulfill all your needs, Mike expounded, presenting an enticing offer. All this requires is your signature, Mr. Han Li. The secretary beside him handed a pen to Han Li. At the very bottom of the contract, there lay a blank space designated for a signature. Should he inscribe his name, Han Li would be entitled to the highest honors of the M nation, a residence of his choosing, women at his leisure, and even the president himself footing the bill. A life of indulgence, one that would entice any soul. Yet, this entailed an allegiance to the M nation, serving what they term a president, and contending against his own homeland. Han Li remarked, those who recognize the times are indeed wise, Mr. Han Li. He did not reach for the pen but instead fixed a cold gaze upon Mike, smiling as he posed the question, what if I refuse? Then you shall spend the remainder of your life within this prison, kid. Suddenly, a stern man approached, slamming his hand on the table, disdain evident in his eyes as he regarded Han Li. This was the highest security Pentagon prison of the M nation, where no one had ever escaped. Unless, of course, one were to perish within its confines, their spirit ascending to the heavens. Ha ha ha. The surrounding guards erupted in laughter. He speaks the truth, Mr. Han Li. Not even a fly could escape this prison. You would do well to act rationally and not make matters worse for yourself. It was clear that for the M nation, whether one consented or not, torment was the order of the day. Join us, he urged, nudging the contract forward. Han Li gazed at the document, took the pen, and resignedly said, it appears I have no other option. With that, he accepted the pen and affixed his signature. Huh, what a joke, this so-called bandit. The prison warden scoffed, regarding the proud Chinese man with utter contempt, asserting his dominance over this territory. Once you entered, there was no exit. Mike secretly reveled in the situation, thinking that even the mightiest of nations could not withstand the pressure imposed by a single country. Indeed, thank you for your cooperation, FUCK. Mike shouted. Hey, watch your tone. No, look, he wrote FUCK, can you believe it? Mike exclaimed, showing the contract to the prison guards. The warden was taken aback. On the contract, in the blank space, were boldly inscribed the words, FUCKYOUBITCH. Instantly, both Mike and the warden's faces flushed crimson, never having experienced such humiliation. Are you mocking us? Indeed. Han Li replied candidly. They had been outwitted by a Chinese man. It seems you quite enjoy this, Mr. Mike. Let me reiterate, I will never betray my country. And I stand tall, unlike you. Han Li wore a smile, one laced with contempt for the M nation. You are utterly foolish. A madman. So incredibly foolish. Mike cursed, angrily grabbing the documents. Before departing, he instructed the warden, let him know the might of our M nation. Rest assured, the warden said as he escorted Mike out. He then seized Han Li by the collar, laughing rather than fuming. You know, I've encountered many with a stubborn tongue like yours. Their fates always culminate in bowing to me, and you will be no exception. Is that so? You might want to take a look at your hands. My hands. The warden glanced down, his eyes widening in disbelief as his mouth fell agape. His hands were shackled. Where are my cuffs? How is this possible? Unbelievable. Han Li raised his hands, being pressed away from the room by the prison guards. Warden, he stated, you once proclaimed that thus far, no one has managed to escape from your prison, correct? Inside the room, the warden, flustered and humiliated, instructed his colleagues to remove the shackles. He lifted his gaze towards the young man who had turned back to look down upon him. A fleeting glimmer of coldness flickered in Han Li's eyes. Then I shall be the first. The warden's heart felt as if a time bomb had been dropped, after countless years of steadfastness. He was hearing such audacious words for the first time. The unsettling calm lingered. Keep your eyes on him. Han Li, being pushed back into the glass enclosure, felt quite uncomfortable. The Americans were bound to torment him, compelling him to submit to that despicable president. Kid, what do they want with you? Han Li replied nonchalantly. Do you know who the boss of this prison is? The boss of the prison? Emoshi was taken aback. Aren't you seeking death? What are you planning to do? Han Li leaned against the bed, silently observing his surroundings with his keen eyes. Escape. Ha ha ha, don't be ridiculous. Emoshi exclaimed. Are you serious? Han Li sat up, listening to the ringing sound that echoed once more, distinct from the earlier alarm. What is this now? It was a rare moment of relaxation during the day, a signal to gather. Let us go. I'll introduce you to the various characters in this prison. Emoshi stepped out from the glass enclosure. Simultaneously, numerous glass rooms opened, releasing different prisoners. Everyone, under the vigilant watch of countless guards, congregated in a designated resting area. This space was divided into various factions, each seemingly marked by their own territories, refraining from encroachment upon one another. Look, that's the Bison Gang. They'll knock you out with a single punch. Over there is the Sneaky White Gang. Be careful not to provoke anyone. You're new here. Emoshi, taking on a mentor's demeanor, guided the newcomer to familiarize himself with the factions. I only want to know who the boss of the prison is, Han Li stated. The area was not large, and he could overhear snippets of conversation. The boss. Just you? A few prisoners, hearing Han Li's voice, turned around, grinning sinisterly as they approached. Emoshi exclaimed. This isn't good. Hey, several brothers, this guy just arrived and doesn't he understand the rules? Give me some face. Get lost. Who do you think you are? Emoshi? Step aside. Emoshi, anxious, urged. Kid, just apologize, and this will all blow over. Apologize? Han Li retorted. Why should I apologize? His words ignited an uproar among the crowd. How audacious. Doesn't he know that newcomers must bow their heads? Emoshi covered his face in despair. There's no saving you. Even Jesus couldn't rescue you now. The inmates here are all vicious criminals. Which of them hasn't tasted blood? At that moment, a fierce man adorned with lion tattoos, wearing a headscarf and towering at 2 meters, loomed over Han Li, his tone icy. Kid, do you know how many people I've killed? In an instant, several of his subordinates surrounded Han Li. The towering man extended his large hand. Grasping Han Li's head tightly, he demanded a bow, promising to spare him. Emoshi remarked, a bow? It's nothing. Life is paramount. The prison guards found amusement in the scene, while the warden, observing through the surveillance monitors, wore a sinister grin. This inmate was notorious in Bear Country for having slain over 20 individuals with his bare hands, and, even severely injured, had single-handedly taken down a black bear named Depu. His immense hands could crush life itself. Medical personnel were on standby, pitying the unfortunate Chinese man. The warden lifted his cup of red tea, chuckling with delight. Chapter 204. The prison explodes. Who is this Chinese man? The newcomer had the audacity to confront them, undoubtedly becoming the center of attention, with everyone watching intently. As for the fate of this Chinese man, they were indifferent. If he perished, so be it, an ignorant Chinese person. Even the patrolling guards above unanimously believed Han Li would be thoroughly taught a lesson by this fearsome brute, possibly leaving him crippled. Depu, immensely strong and muscular, held Han Li's head as if it were a mere chick. The head of a Chinese person is indeed small. He laughed heartily, preparing to deliver a brutal lesson to this presumptuous fool. However, to his surprise, this Chinese man maintained an air of calm, even displaying a sense of disdain. This peculiar gaze made Depu unable to fathom that this short man dared to look down upon him, seeking his demise. In an instant, he tightened his grip around Han Li's head, veins bulging, as if he intended to crush it entirely. The onlookers were filled with trepidation. Kid, don't put up a fight. Emoshi attempted to intervene, but was restrained by several of his subordinates. As Depu's colossal hand enveloped Han Li, obscuring his features, a sharp, resounding crack of breaking bones echoed through the air, sending chills down spines. Crushed alive? Disgusting. A voice interrupted. Depu, that's enough. Someone stepped forward to pull him back, yet the towering Depu remained unmoved, leaving the crowd perplexed as to why he would not relent. At that moment, a louder sound of bones fracturing erupted. Suddenly, the onlookers witnessed Depu's massive hand contorting grotesquely. He emitted a pained bear-like roar, stumbling backward. My hand, he cried, raising his battered hand, a horrifying sight. A collective gasp filled the air. It became evident that a brutal truth lay before them. Depu's hand was rendered useless. Your hand is weak, Han Li remarked with a smile, walking towards the howling Depu under everyone's watchful gaze, looking up at him. He then said, You're too tall. In an instant, Han Li reached out, seizing Depu's beard, and with a forceful motion, he slammed the giant's body to the ground like a willow tree. Bang! Ah! Depu lay on the ground, blood pouring from him. The impact left his internal organs severely damaged. The onlookers, comprising criminals and henchmen alike, stood frozen in astonishment. The guards above were equally taken aback. In the background, the prison warden spat out his coffee, his gaze fixated on a lone figure, his eyes filled with disbelief. A profound silence enveloped the scene. A silence so intense it was almost palpable. Moshi shouted, Depp, release him. If you have the guts, face me in a duel. Yet, as he turned his gaze, he found Depp sprawled on the ground, his mouth agape in surprise. What on earth was happening? Han Li sat atop the colossal Depp, surveying his surroundings. Who was the true master of this prison? The atmosphere erupted with chaos. Everyone was in shock. Who was this formidable individual? Depp had been defeated in an instant. Could it be that the people of Huaxia possessed such strength? What intrigued the onlookers even more was Han Li's audacious display of power, openly challenging the prison's authority. Was he vying for the position of leader? Impressive. I like this kid. Would he join our gang? In the prison, strength reigns supreme. Exceptional individuals always attract followers. Han Li's extraordinary prowess instantly elevated his status within the prison, inciting envy among the various gangs who sought to recruit him. In that moment, Han Li's standing within the prison soared dramatically, much to the chagrin of the warden, who watched in frustration. Kid, do you know martial arts? Can you teach me? Mashi, having shed his previous bravado, dared not act superior before Han Li any longer. He had a plan. While Han Li fought, he would win hearts. Together, they would grow powerful within these prison walls. Just then, a path parted in the crowd as the criminals stepped aside. A man, sporting a beard and exuding an intimidating presence, approached Han Li step by step. His deep blue eyes radiated strength. It was Gino, the prison's leader. Mashi recognized him immediately. Simultaneously, the various gangs fell silent, standing behind this man, providing him with unwavering support, akin to a formidable army. What is your name? Gino, an American, had a penchant for strong personalities. Han Li, what do you want with me? Han Li rose from Depp's side and walked confidently towards the formidable man, showing no signs of trepidation. I wish to escape from this prison, and I require your assistance, Han Li declared. Gino hesitated. He had heard countless individuals express similar desires, only to reveal their foolishness in the end. Kid, don't harbor thoughts of escape. Settle in here, at least you won't meet a swift demise. If anything arises, just mention my name, Gino. With that, Gino turned to leave. Won't you at least listen to my plan? Han Li implored. Gino halted, his gang members displaying their ferocity. Kid, don't push your luck. Wait, Gino commanded, glancing at the guards above. He leaned in and said softly, for your sake, I'll hear your plan. Thus, Mashi beheld in astonishment as this newcomer, seemingly inexperienced, stood shoulder to shoulder with Gino, the leader of countless gangs within the prison, both at equal standing, sharing the same space. It was utterly breathtaking. I find myself envious of such high stature. My goodness, what connection do you have with this newcomer? Who is he to be so impressive? A fierce and intimidating criminal. He has the audacity to drape his arm over Mashi's shoulder, often bullying him. To be candid, he is actually my distant cousin. In an instant, this criminal recoils from Mashi, fear evident in his voice as he pleads, Mashi, let bygones be bygones, shall we? Mashi's heart swells with joy. Is this the power of a true leader? There is a saying in our homeland. What is it? Ah, yes, it's quite remarkable. After listening to Han Li's plan, Gino pondered deeply, wishing to showcase his cultural prowess, yet could only recall this one phrase. I was too hasty earlier. I must apologize and address you as elder brother according to our hierarchy. Han Li shed his aggressive demeanor, revealing a genuine willingness to cooperate. Indeed, you possess a fine character. The more Gino observed this young man, the more he appreciated him. He inquired, so, your first step is to enter the isolation chamber, correct? Yes. In the next moment, Gino suddenly sprang into action, his movements swift as lightning, delivering a powerful blow to the unsuspecting Han Li. Bang. Chapter 205, Nested Dolls. A 5-star challenge in the maritime prison. You seek death, daring to provoke the prison chief. You shall never escape this place. Bang. Han Li was unceremoniously thrown into an airtight isolation chamber by several fully armed guards. His body was covered in bruises. Clearly, Gino's actions were very convincing. As Han Li's face burned with pain, he stood up, pacing as if searching for something. The surroundings were comprised of stone walls, save for one side, which was turned away from Han Li and featured an air vent. What could this be? Suddenly, Han Li crouched down and noticed several rivets embedded in the ground, securing a steel plate. If removed, this plate could be opened. Rather than probing further, Han Li stood up, burying this significant discovery in his mind. First, he must endure the isolation. However, he was intrigued by the air vent, which occasionally let in a chilly breeze carrying a faint fishy scent. Han Li, time is up. Outside, the warden awaited him personally, his tone menacing. Next time you transgress, I assure you, you will wish for death. Upon exiting, Han Li was astounded to find that he had garnered quite a reputation within the prison. Numerous unfamiliar inmates approached him. Brother Han, please, have some water. To the uninformed observer, he might appear to be a notorious mob leader just released from incarceration. Mashi chuckled. Kid, you've become famous. On your first day, you fought with the prison chief. Impressive. Is everything all right? Where's Gino? Shoo, you must address him as Brother Gino. Where's he? Over there. At that moment, Gino, surrounded by his followers, was savoring a special plate of steak, eliciting envy from all who beheld it. Mashi's mouth watered. He longed for just a taste of that delicacy. In the prison, only those of high rank were worthy of steak. The rest were left to consume mere scraps. Han Li, come here. Suddenly, Gino spotted Han Li and waved him over. Oh no, are they planning to gang up on you? She thought nervously, perceiving the situation as seemingly hostile. However, as Han Li approached and calmly sat down to share a meal of steak, exuding an air of camaraderie, she rubbed his eyes, feeling that something was amiss in this world. The onlookers gaped in astonishment, drooling at the scene. How is it? Gino asked. Han Li took a bite of beef and quietly responded, the prison is vertical, likely underground. indicating proximity to a water source. The sound of water flows beneath the steel plate in the confinement room, so it's almost certain. Impressive. Have you escaped before? Gino inquired. I assure you. This is my first time. Do you believe me? Hanley replied. Gino raised an eyebrow. What tools do you require? A metal blade, Hanley stated, wiping his mouth. Gino responded, understood, leave it to me. Observing Gino's imposing figure, Hanley couldn't help but admire him. A true man of society, succinct in speech yet reliable. What do you mean by being unreachable? The production team had consulted various technicians, but still failed to contact Hanley. Let us call the police. At this point, there was no other option. Soon, the Huaxia police took over the investigation into Hanley's disappearance, a revelation that sent shockwaves around the globe. Hanley had vanished. This was inconceivable. In Spain, Ling Han and De Yi, on a bus, furrowed their brows upon hearing the news. Let us hope nothing has happened to Mr. Han. In the interrogation room, Gino sat back in his chair, deliberately provoking the prison warden. Isn't it pathetic that you were bested by that Huaxia man? This is none of your concern. Tell me, what does he intend to do? The warden demanded. He is merely a pawn in the game he has established within the prison. He aims to escape, Gino replied. How does he plan to do that? The warden pressed eagerly. Gino chuckled. He is foolish enough to create chaos and then steal the keys to make his getaway. Really? You expect me to believe that? The warden's demeanor softened as he poured red wine for both himself and Gino, smiling. He is truly naive. Make sure to keep an eye on him, Gino. Of course. Once Gino departed, the warden's expression hardened. Escape? That is more challenging than climbing to the heavens. Wait. What happened to the metal blade from the bottle opener? In the prison assembly area, She began gathering his followers, intent on strengthening his and Hanley's faction. Carving out a niche for themselves. Cough, my cousin can fight. I'll tell you, Boss Gino treated my cousin to steak. Wow. The crowd gasped in admiration, impressed by this display of grandeur. Big brother She, we'll rely on you. Big brother, come sit. Just as She was rallying his followers, Hanley received the tool he needed, a metal blade handed to him by Gino. Hanley, I hope you can help me escape, he said. Rest assured, Hanley replied. With the knowledge of an escape master, his mind was flooded with the intricate layout of the prison, countless routes flashing before him. Brother Gino, could you assist me once more? Hanley smiled, a grin that sent shivers down Gino's spine. Surely not. Again? Bang. As they dined, everyone was taken aback, followed by a sense of speechlessness. Here we go again. Hanley and Gino were at it once more. This time with such ferocity that even the guards could not intervene. All of you, to the solitary confinement cells. Bang. The guards, witnessing Hanley stroll in with a smile, were left dumbfounded. What on earth? Didn't he just arrive yesterday? You scoundrel, are you toying with us? This time, Hanley and Gino found themselves segregated in different cells. Once the guards departed, Hanley suddenly sat up. Here it comes. He opened his mouth and produced a metal blade. Approaching the steel plate from before, he effortlessly pried out the rivets with the small blade, one after another. If anyone had witnessed this, they would have been left agape. Creak. The steel plate loosened as Hanley slowly lifted it, glancing around. With his keen perception, he noticed a guard approaching and promptly laid back down. Clang. The guard knocked on the solitary confinement cell, observing Hanley sleeping like a log, and sneered before departing. These guards are quite the nuisance, Hanley mused. However, he quickly devised a solution. He moved to the adjacent cell and tapped on Gino's confinement. Gino stirred, recognizing this as Hanley's signal. He immediately shouted out, "Damn it! What kind of place is this? I swear, it's unbearable." Instantly, the raucous commotion drew the attention of all the guards, who were now focused on Gino. This, without a doubt, provided Hanley with the perfect opportunity. Brother Gino, I adore you. You're incredible. Seizing the moment, Hanley swiftly lifted the steel plate and leaped down. Splash. Water splashed as Hanley steadied himself, realizing he had landed in a sewer. Beside him was a vertical pipe, presumably leading to the highest point. A grin spread across Hanley's face. With bare hands, he began to climb. To Hanley's astonishment, it wasn't long before he reached the top of the pipe, where a water cover awaited. If he could lift this cover, he could escape this Pentagon prison. Hanley removed the cover, and a beam of sunlight struck his face. As he emerged, however, he was immediately frozen in shock. Nothing could be more despairing than this. He was not underground. Instead, he found himself aboard an immensely large ship. The sound of a foghorn echoed as seagulls soared overhead. The prison was built on a ship? Hanley was dumbfounded, gazing at the azure sky and the vast, endless ocean surrounding him. There was no escape. This ship was a moving prison, and on board, countless guards quickly spotted him. Don't move. In an instant, Hanley's forehead was dotted with crimson spots, surrounded by numerous prison guards. With weapons drawn, they issued a warning. To their astonishment, he had indeed escaped. The warden emerged, clapping his hands, tilting his head with a smirk. Impressive, Hanley, and I must extend my gratitude to you. Turning his gaze, he referred to none other than Gino. Chapter 206, The Failed Escape, Gino's Betrayal. Gino remarked, "Don't forget the promise you made to me." As he spoke, he departed amidst the throng of guards. Shall we execute him? A guard aimed his weapon, ready to pull the trigger. Yet, the warden waved his hand, stating, "Mike said we cannot kill him. Take him away." Yes, sir, the guards complied. Han Li, brimming with resentment, wore a despondent expression. Ha ha. The warden, exuding the air of a victor, declared, Han Li, I told you. There is no escape for you here. In this round, he had triumphed. Upon returning to the prison, the warden relentlessly tormented Han Li, seeking to shatter his spirit by any means necessary. Whenever Han Li attempted to sleep, the guards would rattle the glass partition and indiscriminately beat him, depriving him of rest. He was often dragged out for further torment. Such occurrences became all too frequent within the prison walls. Over time, Ma Shi personally observed as Han Li gradually deteriorated, resembling a broken man, as fragile as a leaf in the wind. Who would have imagined that this individual once effortlessly defeated a towering figure like Depp? Ha ha. Look at his pitiful state. I bet I could fell him with a single punch, Ma Shi scoffed. The criminals who once respected Han Li turned against him, hurling insults, no longer fearing him. In a single night, Han Li's standing had plummeted to a level nearly equal to that of Ma Shi. On this day, in the assembly area, Ma Shi consumed his repugnant food, grumbling, damn it, a bunch of ingrates, leaving whenever they please. Aren't you going to leave? Han Li hung his head, his voice barely a whisper. Humph, where would I go? You're fortunate I'm not after you. Ma Shi continued to eat, cursing under his breath. Timidly, Han Li lifted his spoon to sip the soup and inquired, by the way, how did you end up here? The criminals here were all notorious, guilty of heinous acts like murder and arson. Yet Ma Shi, who couldn't even fight, declared, I was framed. I'm a businessman, but I encountered an even more avaricious businessman. And thus, I ended up here. The people inside resented my wealth, you understand. He produced a photograph, lamenting that he hadn't seen his wife in ages. Han Li asked, so, do you want to escape? Escape? Ma Shi gazed at this tattered figure in horror. How dare he utter such words? Was he not suffering enough? Brother, don't dream. The news of Geno's betrayal of Han Li spread like wildfire through the prison, yet no one stood up for him. Instead, they hurried to curry favor with Geno. Since his return, Geno has had the opportunity to patrol the deck every few days, allowing him to engage with the outside world. How splendid. That Geno, humph, what a pathetic leader, utterly treacherous. If I were you, I would eliminate him. Ma Shi fumed. Han Li set down his spoon. Enough. What do you mean by enough? You still have plenty of soup left, don't waste it. No, what I mean is, this is enough. Saying this, Han Li revealed another hand, displaying a tiny trinket. Did you make this? At that moment, Depp swaggered over, catching sight of the dejected Han Li. A saying flashed through his mind. A tiger fallen in the plains is bullied by dogs. Sucker did not relent. Today, I shall redeem myself. Damn it, Han Li. Today I shall. However, before he could finish, the once drooping and despondent Han Li seized Depp's face and, amidst the horrified gazes of onlookers, slammed him to the ground, rendering him immobile. Scram, don't bother me. Depp. Han Li released his grip, disregarding the panic of others, and strode toward his glass room alone. Has he gone mad? Who knows? Thankfully, I didn't provoke him. Ma Shi scratched his head. He couldn't quite articulate it. But he felt something was amiss with Han Li. Meanwhile, on the ship, in a control room, Geno, having ascended to the deck through privilege, smiled at several guards, offering them cigarettes and engaging in pleasantries. The guards replied, well, this is the mark of someone doing great things. Keep it up. Humph, a two-faced individual. One guard, particularly disdainful, openly scorned Geno for being such a vile person. The other guards felt awkward. Yet they understood that Geno was ultimately a prisoner and dared not act against him. What are you looking at? Bang. This audacious guard boldly struck Geno in the face. Don't be so humiliating. Geno wiped the blood from his nose, said nothing, and turned to continue his patrol. Witnessing this scene, the guards breathed a sigh of relief. While deep down, they looked down upon such a person. Humph, from now on, every time I see him, I shall strike. Unbeknownst to them, a fierce fire ignited within Geno. He would remember this grudge. Night fell. The guards observed Han Li, who resembled a candle flickering in the wind, shaking their heads and departing with a smile. Bent over, breathing slowly, Han Li's gaze was vacant. The warden noted this scene and nodded, very well. It was time. He instructed the guards to take the dejected Han Li to the room for negotiation with Mike. Along the way, they happened upon the returning Geno, who noticed the listless Han Li. The two passed each other without a glance, parting ways in silence. After Han Li was taken away, Geno halted, gripping the trinket tightly. Suddenly, he broke into an ecstatic smile, a smile that bordered on madness. Meanwhile, Han Li, restrained by the prison guards, concealed his face, preventing anyone from witnessing the uncontrollable, sinister grin that twisted upon his lips. Such a smile was utterly chilling. In the dimly lit interrogation room, the frail Han Li was propped up on a chair, surrounded by American prison guards who displayed their mockery without reservation, proclaiming, behold, the foremost criminal of China is nothing remarkable. His weakness was palpable. Mike observed this pitiable sight with a hint of concern, while the warden, brimming with self-righteousness, declared, this is my masterpiece. Mike, clutching a file, entered the interrogation room alone. A departure from the usual routine. Han Li slightly opened his eyes and, with a smile, remarked, Mr. Mike, you appear to be well. I am well. But you are not, Mike replied. No, I am truly quite happy. Han Li retorted, his bloodied visage contorting into a smile that was more grotesque than joyous. Reminiscent of a weeping child. Mike frowned. How ugly. You were once so handsome. You know why I am here, Mike stated. I believe this time Han Li will submit. For no one would willingly endure such inhumane torment. Simply sign your name. Han Li glanced at the contract, gesturing to his battered state. I lack the strength. Bring him food. Before long, a sumptuous feast of elbow meat, chicken legs, and hamburgers, tantalizing enough to tempt any criminal, was presented to Han Li. He devoured the chicken leg while sipping cola. Ah, delightful, he exclaimed, letting out a satisfied belch. Han Li was revitalized. Now that you are nourished, sign the document. Who told you I would sign? Mike's expression darkened instantly. Damn it, this Chinese man is toying with me again. What will it take for you to sign? Han Li waved his hand, stating, I need to heal first. That bastard warden has been tormenting me, and I am gravely injured. He revealed a ghastly bruise on his abdomen. I require assurance of my safety before I can consider signing. Mike was taken aback. Was this a concession? Very well. Internally furious at the warden's excesses, he promptly stood and escorted Han Li out of the interrogation room without the warden's permission. Reallocating several guards as they headed toward the medical facility, Mike stationed himself outside, knowing Han Li would not dare to act recklessly. Is this acceptable? He pondered. Observing Han Li's weakened state. Inside, an elderly doctor began to tend to him. Young man, you seem quite robust. Not at all, doctor. Please, come closer. The elder leaned in, and in an astonishing turn of events, the ostensibly ailing Han Li abruptly sat upright, seizing the doctor's collar and inducing hypnosis upon him. The doctor gasped. Aren't you on the brink of death? Moments later, the doctor emerged, assisting Han Li as he approached Mike, stating, his injuries are severe. He requires immediate rest in a tranquil environment. What do you mean? The warden stormed over, visibly enraged. Mike, what have you done to my prisoner? The president has entrusted the matter to me. Do not forget. Mike instructed someone to arrange a comfortable lounge for Han Li. An agreement was reached. A day later, both parties signed a contract. The warden must attend to Han Li's needs. The warden gritted his teeth, seething with anger. Am I to serve a criminal? He thought. Warden. I desire a steak, Han Li stated. Are you testing my patience? The warden fumed. Cough, cough. I suddenly feel quite weak. Han Li feigned illness. Mike, who had just left, turned back. The warden exclaimed, what on earth? Arrange for him a steak. His teeth nearly ground to dust. I want Australian beef. Uffed. A guard asked, Warden, why are you spitting blood? After sending the jinx away, the warden pondered, are we to endure this humiliation? When have we ever suffered such indignities? Damn it, give him what he deserves. Sighed the guards. Alas, there's no choice. The higher-ups ordered us to attend to him. Yet, the warden suddenly smiled coldly. I will cater to him well, but I never promised that one day, Mr. Han Li might unexpectedly perish in the night. And no one would know the identity of the culprit, would they? The guards all exchanged glances. So ruthless? The warden replied, I was merely jesting. Yes, sir. The guards understood the underlying implications. Tonight we act. The warden chuckled inwardly. This prison is my territory, if I desire your demise. Even the king of hell would not dare to intervene. On the deck, Gino, resembling a stray dog, followed the guard who had previously insulted him as they patrolled near the control room. What wretched weather. When shall we reach land? The guard grumbled, walking ahead, unafraid of whatever Gino might do. I heard you're quite formidable down below. Not much, Gino replied, his head lowered. The guard scoffed, let me tell you. The lives of those criminals down there are firmly in our grasp. What big shots, what gangs should I wish it, with a mere thought? They could all be reduced to ashes. Is that so? Gino noted that they were alone. The other guards had gone to rest. At that moment, only the two remained. The guard, enraged by Gino's words, turned and seized his electric baton, striking Gino as he had before. You dare to retort? Bang. However, an unexpected turn of events unfolded. The guard's eyes widened in disbelief as Gino caught the baton, exuding a fierce demeanor. Like a tiger awakening, his voice was low and menacing. Do you know why I am the leader? You dare to resist. Before the guard could utter another word, Gino executed a swift throw, slamming him to the ground, pressing his knee against the guard's neck. Speak, aren't you quite the talker? Gino maintained his grip on the guard's neck, coldly observing the struggling man as he gradually grew still. Gino, unfazed by having taken a life, felt no more than if he had slain a dog. He then proceeded toward the control room. He retrieved the locator that Han Li had entrusted to him, finding the only spot on the deck with a signal, undisturbed by interference, was the control room. Beep. The locator swiftly locked onto their current position, and then, following the steps provided by Han Li, Gino determined their location. Soon, a response was received. A sinister smile crept across Gino's face, dark and unsettling in the shadows. Success. It was unimaginable. 5 years. After 5 long years, he, Gino, was finally on the verge of escaping this prison. With a sharp crack, he crushed the locator, leaving no trace. He turned, donned the prison guard's uniform, and disposed of the body into the sea. Armed, he approached the entrance leading below. The ominous sky rumbled with thunder. The lifeless guard went unnoticed. This minor disturbance was about to unleash a tremendous storm upon the ship. Loading his weapon with a click, he observed the guard asleep. A few prison guards exchanged grins as they stealthily approached Han Li's resting quarters, the warden's voice crackling through the walkie-talkie. Next, I will disable the surveillance under the pretense of a malfunction for 10 minutes. After 10 minutes, I expect to see Han Li's corpse. Fear not, Chief. The guards witnessed the nearby cameras go dark, their hearts racing with fervor. Within the prison, murder was merely their privilege. Sharpening their knives, they advanced like wolves toward their prey. The guards burst through the door, and upon opening it, they were greeted by the sight of a figure beneath the covers. Huh. The fool is still asleep. How pitiful. They exchanged glances, each one a ruthless individual. Without further ado, they loaded their weapons and unleashed a barrage towards the bed, where Han Li lay. Bang, bang, bang. They had deliberately equipped their guns with silencers, ensuring minimal noise. Gazing at the tattered bed and the quilt riddled with holes, it was hard to imagine the state of Han Li within. Strangely, there was no blood. Indeed, the guards realized they had fired relentlessly without leaving a single drop. One guard stepped forward, slowly lifting the quilt, only to be taken aback. The others were equally astonished. For Han Li was nowhere to be found. Only a tattered pillow lay in his place. Where's Han Li? Here I am. The guards were instantly filled with dread, their hair standing on end. The voice was behind them. What the hell? A ghost. It was then they noticed Han Li in a strange posture, propped against the corner on all fours. Suddenly, Han Li leaped down, not waiting for the bewildered guards, and dashed out the door. Bang! He slammed the door shut and locked it. Damn it, pursue him. Stop. Just as the guards were about to burst through the door, they discovered that it could only be opened from the outside. There was no handle inside. The guards stood there, dumbfounded. They found themselves trapped inside. Quickly, call the warden. Are you foolish? How could there be a signal in a place meant to confine criminals? At that moment, Han Li, who had locked this group of foolish Americans inside, hurried towards the control room. Utilizing his skills, he remained undetected throughout his journey. He had memorized the location of the control room earlier that morning when Mike had guided him past it. Before long, he arrived at the control room and, taking advantage of the absence of personnel, slipped inside. Let us incite a riot, shall we? Han Li exclaimed, gazing at the button responsible for opening the criminals' glass cells, brimming with excitement and eager anticipation. Meanwhile, in the prison area, the inmates were sound asleep, except for Mashi, who simply could not find rest. He rose to jot down his thoughts. For some unknown reason, sleep eluded him. Perhaps he was unwell. My dear wife, I have made a new friend. A remarkable individual from Huaxia, but I grew concerned when I did not see him return today. Bang! Mashi exclaimed in frustration, cursing himself. Who writes in a diary like a serious person? Han Li, are you alright? If it comes to it, I'll take them on myself. Ha ha ha, Mashi. Just step out of the glass cell first, you fool. Humph, I could leave at any moment. Just as Mashi finished speaking, the lights in his glass cell suddenly illuminated, and an astonishing scene unfolded. The door of Mashi's glass cell opened automatically. What on earth? Mashi stepped outside, turning back to look at the other inmates. I'm out. In an instant, all the criminals sat up, staring at Mashi in disbelief. Is this a dream? He really made it out. Mashi, can you let me out? I'll acknowledge you as my elder brother. Me too. Exactly. Mashi was speechless. How could he possess such power? However, as if summoned by his words, the next moment, the doors of all the glass cells opened simultaneously, swinging wide. The onlookers collectively gasped in astonishment, then gazed at Mashi with admiration. Mashi, you are my deity. He truly did it. I am overwhelmed with emotion. He kept his word. Mashi, 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 my lord, I pledge my unwavering loyalty to you. A throng of bewildered inmates lifted Mashi into the air, chanting with fervor. Who am I? Where am I? What am I to do? As Mashi looked at his passionate followers, uncertain of his own thoughts, he suddenly shouted, Damn it! Let us take down those guards. Charge! Let us finish off those guys. My blade is eager for action. A riot erupted. The alarm resonated throughout the prison. The patrolling guards, witnessing a horde of inmates rushing towards them, realized they were in deep trouble. What is happening? Quickly, request backup. Where are the reinforcements? Meanwhile, in the background, the warden, awaiting news of Han Li's demise, instead received the explosive report of a prison riot. A riot, you say? The warden resumed monitoring only to discover the prison guards sent to assassinate were inside the room, crying out and banging on the walls. Damn it. It must be Han Li's doing. The guards were taken aback. They had been trapped in the room by Han Li. What nonsense. This is outrageous. Where's the backup? Meanwhile, countless guards clutched their stomachs, groaning in agony. Doctor, it hurts so much. Don't worry, young man. Trust me, I won't let you recover. A guard interjected, Huh? Old man, something's off with you. The elderly man grinned wickedly, observing the incapacitated guards before him, and burst into manic laughter. Long live Peichi. His expression was grotesque, spiraling into madness. No support. A guard reported, Warden, the criminals are quite resilient. In the scene, ferocious criminals had, for a moment, pushed back the armed guards. Who was leading? It was him. The image revealed the criminals carrying a bewildered man, trembling in fear. It was Mashi. Damn it, guns run. The criminals retorted, What? Stand and fight. All right. A fierce brawl ensued, temporarily uncontrollable. Upon hearing this news, the warden was so frightened he slumped in his chair. Quick, capture Han Li. Chaos engulfed the entire prison, descending into utter disarray. At this moment, Han Li had completed his task and emerged from the control room. As he rounded a corner, he unexpectedly came face to face with a guard. What luck! The guard was momentarily stunned, holding a gun. Han Li? Chapter 209. Explosive Revelations of Geno's True Identity. Han Li prepared to subdue the guard. However, before he could act, the guard spoke first. It's me. That voice belonged to Geno. Han Li breathed a sigh of relief as Geno removed his mask, revealing a serious countenance. So, the riot has begun? Yes. Geno had just come from the detention area, where a large group of disgruntled criminals had begun to wreak havoc. This undoubtedly afforded them the perfect opportunity to escape. Realizing this, Geno looked at the young Huaxiao man before him with astonishment. This entire scheme was his design. Even the warden had been kept in the dark. He couldn't help but recall the bold plan they had devised in the solitary confinement room. You want me to betray you? No way. This way. The warden will trust you. I need you on deck to send our location. At that point, I'll create chaos, and that will be our opportunity. Returning to the present, Geno urged, let's move, I'll cover you. Thus, Geno and Han Li made their way towards the passage leading to the deck. Along the way, they encountered no guards. Thanks to the old doctor. Suddenly, an explosion created a breach, causing Han Li and Geno to halt. They saw a criminal wielding an RPG, grinning menacingly. Ha! Perish. You bastards. Huh. Geno boss. Huaxia kid. What? Moshi sprang forth, gazing at Han Li with wide eyes, exclaiming, it's really you, kid. Moshi, you're still alive? Don't waste any time. Geno shouted, pulling Han Li towards the passage. Moshi quickly caught up with the pair, aware that Han Li was attempting a prison break. The trio dashed towards the corridor, only to come to a sudden halt. Before them, an electronic lock had appeared where there had once been an unobstructed passage. Damn it. Geno cursed, realizing this must be a last-minute addition by the prison warden. A password was required to unlock it. We're doomed. There's no time. Behind them, the cacophony of guards could be heard as they began to restore order. Han Li examined the electronic lock, pondering its structure. The circuitry seemed connected to the control room. If they could return there, they could unlock it. However, this also implied that one among them would need to risk their life to go back. I'll do it. Han Li began, but suddenly stumbled backward. Are you all right? Geno steadied him. You're out of strength. Let me handle this. Tend to your own wounds first. Geno had been shot in the shoulder and was still bleeding, gritting his teeth to endure the pain. Amidst their bickering, the usually silent Moshi interjected. I'll go. Moshi. Are you serious? Of course. Why would I be afraid? You two are just being cowards. Indeed, Han Li and Geno were in dire straits, having exhausted their strength. Their trembling hands barely able to grip anything. Returning would surely mean death, yet Moshi continued. I know this place best. There's a control room nearby. Besides, I am your senior. As he spoke, Moshi produced a photograph from his pocket and handed it to Han Li. If I don't come back, please send this to my wife and tell her I love her. Han Li clenched the photograph tightly. I will. He turned away, leaving the two behind in stunned silence. Han Li could hardly believe that this timid man had uttered such courageous words. He is a real man, Geno remarked with admiration. As Moshi ventured forth, he encountered numerous fallen inmates, with guards fiercely regaining control. He quickened his pace until he stumbled upon a control room and rushed inside. Where the hell is the switch? Confounded by the multitude of switches, he knelt to search diligently. After a lengthy search, he finally discovered the switch for the electronic lock. This is it. Suddenly, the door was thrust open, and several guards, seeking to suppress the chaos, stumbled upon Moshi. Don't move. Startled, Moshi turned but pushed aside his fear. Gripping the switch tightly, ready to press down. I told you not to move. He shouted. Han Li, I'm giving it my all. You must escape. With a near scream, Moshi pressed the switch. Bang. The lock lit up with a green light. It had worked. Did Moshi actually pull it off? Just then, the warden and guards stormed in, discovering Han Li and Geno in the corridor, just as expected. The so-called riot was merely a diversion to create an opportunity for Han Li and his companions to escape. The only path led to the deck. Seize them. The prison guards opened fire indiscriminately, showing no regard for Han Li's life, their firepower overwhelming. Move. Geno, armed, fired several shots at their pursuers. Han Li was the first to dash onto the deck. Subsequently, Geno followed, continuing to shoot as he ascended. At that moment, the outside world was still cloaked in the darkness of early dawn. Where are the people? Geno inquired. They've arrived. Han Li surveyed the empty vessel, noting the absence of helicopters. Don't let them escape. The warden and his men charged forward, a sinister grin plastered on his face. This ship is adrift in the ocean. Even if you escape from the prison below, what do you think you can achieve? The guards prepared their weapons, and a tense standoff ensued. Han Li, a wise man knows when to yield. Do not jeopardize your future. Join us. At that moment, Mike ascended to the deck, exerting his last effort to dissuade them. However, Han Li stood resolute, unwilling to compromise. You see, he has no value. Fire. The warden was determined to eliminate Han Li. Faced with a multitude of firearms, peril loomed. Han Li turned to Geno. You did not deceive me, did you? Geno, however, was fixated on the sky, which was gradually brightening. They are coming. As rays of sunlight broke through, illuminating the cargo ship and dispelling the shadows, the warden exclaimed, "Look around you. What is it?" The warden cursed, turning to find himself speechless. Surrounding the cargo ship was an array of vessels, varying in size and number, ominously equipped with cannons. A horde of Somali pirates sang dirges, their spirits high. This is the Somali pirates, the most ferocious force in these waters. It is said that once they strike, there is no escape. Mike, drenched in cold sweat, realized the magnitude of the threat. "We are from M Nation." Boom. A cannonball struck near Mike, obliterating an entire container. The warden trembled in fear. Have these lunatics gone mad? In the next moment, a horn sounded. Board the ship. Pirate ships launched grappling hooks, connecting to the cargo vessel as waves of jubilant pirates climbed aboard. Pirates? Han Li observed as their fiery gazes fixed upon him, each wielding an AK-47. AK? My goodness, times have changed. Captain, Captain. In an astonishing turn of events that left the warden and his companions in disbelief, the Somali pirates knelt before a man of Chinese descent, not Han Li, but Gino. Mike suddenly grasped the situation, his body drenched in cold sweat. Gino stepped forward, passing Han Li to stand before the pirates, his smile radiant. "You arrived too late. Han Li, I told you, my people had long since arrived." He turned to Han Li, the evening glow casting a warm light upon them. Gino donned an eye patch over his left eye and exclaimed with excitement, "I forgot to mention, everyone on the street calls me Jack." Han Li was taken aback. The king of Somali pirates, Captain Jack. Chapter 210, Farewell to the eternal second-in-command of Somalia. Boss, a pirate draped Gino with the captain's crimson cloak. How would they handle this? The pirates, resembling a pack of ravenous wolves, displayed their ferocity. The warden and others, facing the throngs of Somali pirates, became mere lambs. The situation shifted dramatically in an instant. Gino declared, "These Americans are all dead. What about this guy?" A burly man, shouldering an RPG, seized Han Li and inquired, "He is my brother." A collective gasp echoed among the pirates, their disbelief surpassing even the notion of their own demise. "So he is the new second-in-command." Second-in-command. The pirates promptly knelt once more. Huh. Han Li was utterly baffled. "What? I've become the second-in-command of Somalia?" The pirates eagerly offered their services. "Is there anything we can do for the second-in-command?" Han Li pondered for a moment. "Actually, there is. Can you help me find someone? His name is Moshi." What ensued was undoubtedly a one-sided massacre. "You lunatics, provoking the Americans will bring you all trouble." "Gino, think carefully." Mike shouted in fury. "Somalia, no matter how perilous, dares not provoke an entire nation." The next moment, the reply was a bullet. The guard stared in shock at Mike's lifeless body on the ground. "What the hell? You're killing a subordinate of the American president just like that?" A pirate retorted, "I'm barefoot and unafraid of those in shoes. What is there to fear? The ocean is vast. If you dare come, you will be left behind. You think this is merely about killing and arson? Indeed. Engaging in reason with the fiercest Somali pirates is not a display of wisdom." 30 minutes later, on the deck, the criminals gazed outside, then at the vast sea, and finally down below. This prison was actually floating on the ocean? Damn, who was the fool that conceived such a design? Naturally, they were now exhilarated. They had escaped. How could they not be joyful? Freedom beckoned them. Oh, wait, that was a group of pirates. Damn. Now, the maritime prison was officially under the command of Captain Jack. This vessel would undoubtedly become another fearsome pirate ship for Somalia. As was tradition, let the festivities commence. Thus, the previously menacing prison cargo ship transformed into a paradise of pirate revelry. "Hurry, get up and dance." A pirate brandished a gun, compelling the reluctant warden to perform a pole dance. The other captured guards, humbled, served drinks to the pirates and criminals. Jack approached, offering a drink to Han Li. "My subordinates have located Moshi. He was near death, but fortunately saved in time. He is a tough one. I like him." Upon hearing that Moshi was unharmed, Han Li sighed in relief, handing a photograph to Jack to return to Moshi. "Tell Moshi to take good care of his wife." "What are you planning to do?" "I wish to return home." Han Li stood up, gazing into the distance. "Huaxia, that place is his eternal homeland." Jack playfully put his arm around him and teased. "Stay with me and become a pirate. You'll be my second-in-command. Your intellect surpasses mine, and together we shall amass untold treasures." "Forget it. Speaking of which, you, the king of Somali pirates, the sovereign of these waters, how did you end up imprisoned?" Han Li was exceedingly curious. Mike, whether from drunkenness or shame, turned crimson, scratching his head before leaning in to whisper, "It was a sunny day." Upon hearing this tale, Han Li couldn't help but burst into laughter. "How absurd." "Indeed. Regardless, you rescued me from this prison, making you my benefactor, Jack. I shall fulfill any request you have. Should you encounter trouble in the future, just call upon me." Jack smiled knowingly. Han Li understood that henceforth, he would have a formidable ally at his back. At that moment, not far away, a police yacht drew near. On board were an international police officer and Lu Dong, who had rushed over upon receiving a peculiar signal. "Damn, isn't that a pirate? We've been tricked. Run." The yacht was about to turn back when Lu Dong abruptly stopped it, declaring, "Wait, I see Han Li." A sleek little boat approached them, and on board was the long-missing Han Li. Han Li, we found him. The director leaped out, wiping away a tear, nearly convinced that this fellow had been killed. Hello, everyone. Han Li greeted Lu Dong and the others. What has transpired? The director grasped him, his face alight with excitement. I'll explain everything in due course. By the way, you must thank Captain Lu. Had it not been for him, we wouldn't have made it here, the director remarked. Lu Dong. Lu Dong lounged lazily in his chair, casually responding, don't thank me, thank Li Yi. If it weren't for him, I wouldn't have bothered. Thank you. Setting aside the criminal and police roles, in this moment, they stood as proud Huaxia people. Let us go? Just as the yacht was about to depart, a sudden cacophony erupted from countless Somali pirate ships. What? An enemy attack? Pirates. However, to everyone's astonishment, the numerous pirate vessels were launching fireworks. A vibrant array of colors burst into the sky. At the bow, throngs of Somali pirates cheered, their voices resonating in unison. Second in command, fare thee well. Second in command, come back and visit the brothers often. Second in command, I shall miss you. The director was bewildered. The international police were taken aback, quietly reaching for their handcuffs. Lu Dong, on the other hand, wore a mischievous grin, reveling in the irony. In just a few days, you've become the Somali second in command? I am not. I didn't. They are framing me. Han Li was at a loss for words, besieged by their incessant chatter. It seemed he could not evade the title of second in command. Han Li noticed a man on the deck, wrapped in bandages, who loudly called out his name. Hey, wasn't he handsome just now? Ma Shi shouted with a grin. Han Li took a deep breath and shouted back. You look quite dapper. Gradually, he observed the multitude of pirate ships receding into the distance, followed by the cargo ships, and then Ma Shi's figure vanished from sight. How would Country M explain this? He glanced at the director beside him. Country M, would they dare? Lu Dong smirked. In this matter, it's like a mute eating bitter gall. Their president will have to swallow this grievance, even if it means death. Then I can rest easy. Han Li replied as he collapsed. He rarely enjoyed the bright sunlight, and it had been a long time since he felt this comfortable. He resolved to grant himself an extended vacation. Suddenly, with a click, the previously silent Lu Dong approached and cuffed Han Li's hands. Han Li looked at the handcuffs in confusion. What does this mean? Am I being arrested again? Lu Dong grinned mischievously. Come with me. Someone has specifically requested you. Who? The higher-ups. Chapter 211. Did Country M cross the line? A single phone call from Han Li directly altered the international maritime situation. Han Li swiftly boarded a plane back to Huaxia, and as for the news of his rescue, the Huaxia police had kept it suppressed, citing it as a secret. Is this a form of elimination? Lu Dong remarked while reading the newspaper. Not at all, be honest. The two were handcuffed together, inseparable. URNT. Shut up. Han Li whistled while gazing out the window. Being captured by the people of Country M was entirely different from being apprehended by his own. Congratulations, host. On escaping from a 5-star prison. Skill reward. Engineering master. Engineering master. Give me a steel pipe, and I could pry up a planet. However, he was unaware of the tremendous shock his escape had caused Country M. Inside the White House, chaos reigned. The Pentagon prison has been breached? Damn it. This is no joke. I'm dead serious. The high-ranking officials were nearly losing their minds. All of this was orchestrated by a single Huaxia individual. Han Li. That damned fellow again. The president of Country M, in a fit of rage, slammed the report down, his eyes ablaze with fury. He never anticipated that this Huaxia man would be so ungrateful. A grave incident has occurred. Mike has been killed. Impossible. The president of Country M exclaimed in panic. Staring at the lifeless body on the ground, his teeth gritted in anger, trembling with rage. Provocation? There will be consequences. I shall make Huaxia pay. The officials were taken aback, unable to quell the fury of this iron-willed president. Huaxia, prepare to face the wrath of Country M. Soon. A shocking spectacle unfolded before the world. Country M's ships brazenly crossed the border, heading towards a small island on the fringes of Huaxia. This stirred the high-ranking officials of Huaxia and alarmed countless citizens. On the plane, Han Li caught sight of this news. He hesitated for a moment before pulling out the note Jack had given him, which bore a phone number. Ring ring. Hello? Brother Jack? Huh. So soon you address me as brother. I presume it relates to that international incident? Han Li chuckled nervously. Indeed, he had initiated the call to solicit Jack's assistance. Leave this matter to me, rest assured. Beep beep beep, on the other end. On the island. The indigenous people gazed in astonishment at the fleet of vessels from the M Nation. What is happening? Has the M Nation gone mad, intending to assault the island? Run. Run from what? They are already upon us. On the sea, several ships of the M Nation blatantly disregarded the warnings issued by the Chinese customs, crossing the border and advancing towards the island. On the deck, the commander received the message, I understand. In an instant, countless cannons were aimed at the island belonging to China, poised to unleash their firepower. A quick barrage, and then we retreat. When questioned, we shall claim our cannons malfunctioned. What can they do to us? The commander chuckled. Fire. The sudden assault caught China off guard, preventing an immediate response. Just as the cannon was about to fire, it unexpectedly fell silent. The commander waved his hand, ordering all M Nation soldiers to halt. his eyes wide with terror as ghostly ships emerged around them. A flotilla of varying sizes encircled them like a school of sharks. Most striking were the flags adorned with skulls. Somali pirates. Damn it, let us get out of here. Commander, why should we fear them? One soldier inquired, confused. Aren't they just a band of pirates? The commander swiftly delivered a resounding slap. Fool, do not jeopardize my life. All units retreat. He was well aware that Somalia had once obliterated a small nation. Thus unfolded a scene that drew international attention, as the M nation's vessels, initially poised to fire, turned tail and fled like frightened dogs. In time, informed nations learned that it was the infamous Somali pirates who had safeguarded China's island, defiantly planting their flag between China and the M nation's border. Jack's audacious action startled numerous countries, clearly signaling that from now on, the seas of China were under the protection of Jack and the Somali pirates. Anyone daring to cause trouble should think twice. The president of the M nation, gripped by fear, abandoned his ambitions. The world was in an uproar. Somalia had never deigned to ally with nations. Yet, this formidable force had unexpectedly sided with China? What transpired? Impossible. This was not Somalia's character. Bribery? No. They lacked for nothing. Baka, we could offer them 10 islands and they would scoff. What has China done? In no time, vessels from other nations refrained from harboring ill intentions towards China, even going so far as to curry favor with Chinese ships, merely through customs. China benefited from significant reductions in export tariffs, saving tens of thousands of dollars. Even more astonishingly, the Somali pirates escorted Chinese vessels safely through perilous waters, with scarcely a ship sustaining damage. Such privilege. The small nation? The Y nation? The M nation? The Indian subcontinent? By what right? In Somalia, do you share a close alliance with China? This has truly left the higher echelons of China in astonishment. What does it mean to have stature? This is it indeed. In light of this unexpected fortune, the Chinese elite reached out through channels to the pirate king, Captain Jack. Captain Jack, we are immensely grateful for your assistance to China, they expressed. Jack, with a smile, responded, it's nothing, my brother, is in your hands. Brother? Who might that be? Han Li. The officials exchanged glances. Han Li, that name again. How on earth did this young man become entangled with the Somali pirate king, and calling each other brothers? Remarkable, truly remarkable. Where is he? Report. He has been captured. Captured? Release him. We owe a great deal to this comrade Han Li. However, he is currently on a covert mission. The officials were momentarily taken aback, but quickly realized. Is it about that matter? Lu Dong received a call and turned to Han Li, who was sipping soda, a look of disbelief etched on his face. What's wrong? It's nothing. Just now, a matter that could potentially incite a national war was effortlessly resolved by Han Li with a simple phone call. Lu Dong broke into a cold sweat. It is said that now, whenever Chinese vessels pass through the sea, others hastily retreat. Such extraordinary treatment can be attributed to Han Li. His remarkable influence is astounding. It is hard to fathom that this seemingly ordinary individual has the capacity to sway the nation's situation. Isn't this akin to holding the world in one's hands? I was mistaken. Han Li remarked. What? Lu Dong surprisingly removed the shackles, adopting a serious demeanor. You, Han Li, are indeed a significant figure. Just then, the driver opened the car door, and Han Li looked outside, revealing a desolate wilderness. Not far away stood an elegantly dressed woman in a chipao, holding an umbrella over an elderly man to shield him from the sun. Behind them, Han Li was taken aback, gasping in shock. His scalp tingled at the sight of an array of armored vehicles and a multitude of fully armed soldiers, with helicopters hovering above. Is this a welcome for me? He wondered. No, Lu Dong said, his expression filled with admiration. They were merely protecting an elderly man. A vast army, solely to safeguard one individual? This piqued Han Li's curiosity as he gazed at the elderly man leaning on a cane. Chapter 212. The Objective. Reclaiming the dragon's head. The wind stirred, and in the wilderness, the elderly man awaited with anticipation as he saw Lu Dong approaching with a young man. Go on, Lu Dong said mysteriously, stopping in his tracks. Aren't you coming? I haven't reached that level yet. Good luck, Han Li. Lu Dong felt a sense of relief. This matter was far more complicated than capturing Han Li, and he was eager to distance himself from it. After a thorough security check by the military, under the woman's guidance, Han Li accompanied the elderly man to a small room. Within, there were only the two of them, while a whole battalion guarded the exterior. The stature of this arrangement was truly extraordinary. Han Li expressed his admiration while curiously observing the elderly gentleman before him, pondering his significance that warranted the protection of an entire army. I have heard the news. You have performed admirably, truly a young hero, the elder remarked, removing his hat, revealing a warm and amiable demeanor. There was no pretense or insincerity. He clapped his knee and stated earnestly, let us dispense with the pleasantries and get straight to the point. I know you are a remarkable young man, particularly adept at bank heists. Upon hearing this, Han Li felt a twinge of embarrassment, recognizing that this was not an accomplishment to take pride in, especially coming from an elder. The old man seemed to sense Han Li's discomfort and chuckled heartily. No need for modesty. Your talents are precisely what we need, young one. My surname is Qin, having dedicated my life to the nation. You may call me Elder Qin. Elder Qin, Han Li responded. I can see your love for your country, which surely means you will offer your utmost support in times of national distress, correct? Elder Qin took a sip of tea, smiling warmly. Is the country asking me to rob a bank? Han Li queried. Not exactly. To be precise, we are to reclaim treasures that rightfully belong to our nation. Elder Qin's eyes glinted with fervor. His voice rose slightly, asserting authority. You are familiar with the dragon head, are you not? Han Li sat up straight, recognizing that it was, indeed, a supreme treasure of their homeland. But, isn't it missing? Suddenly, a thought struck him. Could this incident be related? Precisely, Elder Qin acknowledged, his expression one of approval. We discovered the dragon head on Han Island and demanded its return, yet those rascals feigned ignorance, obstinately refusing to acknowledge it. How could there be such shameless individuals? Calm down, Elder Qin. Han Li felt a surge of anger himself. It turned out the dragon head had not been hidden away, but rather concealed by Han Island. They intend to steal our dragon head. Indeed. Therefore, since they lack any sense of shame, we shall not indulge them. Elder Qin hinted at deeper implications. I understand. Han Li readily agreed. As it pertains to national treasures, I, Han Li, shall lend my full support. I accept this mission. Excellent. According to our intelligence, the dragon head is concealed within the most secure bank in their nation, held by the largest conglomerate on Han Island, a behemoth that wields immense power. Here are the details for your perusal. Han Li picked up a confidential document and quickly scanned the prominent headlines. Miraculous engineering, the world's most secure vault, and unbreakable order. It appeared that the dragon head was indeed hidden within this vault. Han Li clenched his fists in frustration. How audacious of these individuals to flaunt the treasures of Huaxia so brazenly. Meanwhile, at Samsung Bank, the bank president was impeccably dressed, welcoming the conglomerate's representative with a smile. Our bank's profits have been quite impressive lately, especially from the United States, which has provided us with considerable benefits to restrict Huaxia. The tycoon nodded in agreement. Recently, Huaxia has made strides at sea, particularly with Somalia, causing trade to double. Quite tantalizing. Let us not dwell on that. I want to see my treasure, the tycoon declared. The bank president's eyes gleamed, and he obsequiously replied, of course, right this way, within the vast vault. He lifted the lid, and in that moment a masterfully crafted artistic treasure unfolds before the eyes of the tycoon. This is the jewel of China, the dragon head. In his perception, it symbolizes supreme authority, something that no one can usurp. It is rumored that recently, China has sought the return of the dragon head. The tycoon scoffs, asserting that without direct evidence, he will never concede. What can China do to him? The government of Han Island is also under my control. No one can confront me. Moreover, upon exiting the vault, the tycoon encounters a suspended platform, atop which lies a security device resembling a balance scale. It stands like an angel, safeguarding this treasure. Mr. Mir Han, your design is truly astonishing, he remarks. Behind him, the bespectacled Mir Han steps forward, brimming with pride. The order scale I have designed remains unbroken to this day. You need not worry. Indeed. Our bank is right opposite the military, always at the ready. Rest assured, should the bank be destroyed, this vault will remain untouched. The bank president chuckles. If any fool dares to covet my treasure. The tycoon casually picks up a stone and tosses it into the activated order scale. The stone lands on the vault floor with a thud. Suddenly, a deafening crash reverberates, as if the balance tipped, and the vault doors swiftly seals shut. Then, under the watchful gaze of the bank president and others, torrents of water surge into the vast vault like a tempest, gradually filling every inch, leaving no void. If a person were inside, they would surely perish within moments. I shall let him drown. The tycoon sneers, gritting his teeth. Alas, how cruel to drown a person alive. The bank president quivers. Mir Han, however, remains uncertain. This is precisely the effect he desires. Anyone who enters will surely perish. After all, even the most notorious criminal in Han Island barely lasted 7 minutes within, becoming a lifeless corpse. Humanity is indeed fragile. The satisfied tycoon departs the bank, signaling to the military across the street, on standby 24 hours a day. At the slightest anomaly, storm the bank and kill without mercy. This bank is unshakable. The following day, at an airport in Han Island, a woman wearing a baseball cap, a tank top, a jacket, and jeans removes her sunglasses. A conspicuous mole rests between her brows. Amidst the bustling crowd, she spots a figure, a handsome young man holding a cup of cola, clad in a shirt adorned with a panda emoji. What in the world? A joker? Han Li? Xiao Mimi? How do you know my name? Han Li, picking up an identification card, replies nonchalantly, isn't it written here? Xiao Mimi is taken aback. Isn't that her passport? When was it stolen? Chapter 213, a master? I, Han Li, will stand atop the summit. Xiao Mimi scrutinizes Han Li, examining whether this is truly the most formidable outlaw of China. Watching was not an option, she mused. Little did she anticipate that in the next moment, her credentials would be deftly pilfered by Han Li. For a thief like her, this was undoubtedly a blatant slap in the face. She was also astounded by Han Li's thieving skills. Follow me, he beckoned. As the two of them traveled in a discreet vehicle, they encountered a throng of residents from Han Island, all gathered in protest, brandishing signs and shouting. Down with the chaebols. Give us back our sunny skies. Get out. Countless citizens resisted, causing a significant disruption to the flow of traffic. What were they doing? Xiao Mimi dismissed it. What else could it be? The anti-chaebol movement, although fervent, had proven futile. On Han Island, the chaebols wielded nearly absolute power. No one could stand against them. Han Li remained noncommittal, then posed a provocative question. How do the chaebols compare to the Emperor of Yingzhou? Instantly, Xiao Mimi was rendered speechless. Indeed, she had forgotten that this ruthless individual beside her had once dared to assassinate an emperor. Recently, he had even been linked with the king of Somali pirates. Who could he possibly fear? 5 minutes later, in a concealed gathering place, Han Li followed Xiao Mimi to meet the members involved in this operation, including Elder Qin. This is Dog Dan, a hefty man bellowed. Call me Wang Pengzi. Nice to meet you, Han Gu. Han Li nodded. This rotund figure seemed to be the hacker for their mission. Nearby, an elderly gentleman approached, cradling a box. Upon closer inspection, Han Li was taken aback. Inside were contraband items, AKs, M4A1 rifles, explosives, sulfuric acid, and even arsenic. This is Lao Mo, responsible for procurement, Xiao Mimi introduced. Lao Mo was affable, brandishing an AK with a smile. Pleasure to meet you. I have nothing to offer as a gift, so please excuse me. That is Jielong, a former Special Forces soldier, she continued, gesturing to a burly man leaning against the wall. He eyed Han Li, and, for reasons unknown, his body tensed. Sensing a formidable presence, this Han Li was indeed powerful. And I am Han Zong, your devoted admirer. A somewhat daft yet endearingly cheerful youth approached, shaking Han Li's hand vigorously. I'm a Liang, in charge of miscellaneous tasks. Han Zong, you are so handsome. Wait, is this your true appearance? How annoying. Han Li said, withdrawing his hand and turning to Xiao Mimi. What about you? Xiao Mimi, with a hint of pride, replied, I excel in disguise and thievery. With all members introduced, it was evident that each possessed a unique skill set. Xiao Mimi felt a sense of equilibrium, although Han Li was indeed extraordinary. They were all experts in their own right. They did not seek to surpass him, but at the very least, they wished to be on par. Cough, cough. Now that everyone is here, let us commence our planning, Elder Qin announced as he slowly descended the stairs. Elder Qin, everyone regarded this venerable man, who had dedicated himself to the nation, with deep respect. Ladies and gentlemen, we have but one opportunity this time. Moreover, once exposed, we are left to rely solely on ourselves. So, have you all made your preparations? The crowd nodded in agreement. Old Qin's eyes glistened with emotion. They were all good children. He unfurled a plan upon the table and began to elucidate its intricacies. To commence, he presented a video for everyone to behold. This was the order's scale. Alion gasped in astonishment. Are you aware of this? This is the most miraculous engineering feat in history, renowned as the first impregnable vault. Wealthy individuals would go to great lengths to store their valuables within. Impenetrable? Han Li scoffed. The Pentagon prison was said to be the same, yet look what transpired. The truth revealed itself. When human folly prevails, do not blame the uneven road. As the video played, they witnessed a figure stealthily infiltrating a bank, overcoming numerous obstacles, ultimately entering the vault. Initially, everything proceeded smoothly until the fateful moment of entry. Suddenly, the vault's grand door slammed shut, and they beheld torrents of water cascading down, gradually submerging the entire vault. The thief was left lifeless, a pale corpse, a chilling sight indeed. Behold, the voice resonated. The most terrifying aspect of the order's scale lies in its unyielding conservation laws. Once an object enters the vault, it disrupts the equilibrium, unleashing water until the vault is completely filled. Old Mo expressed his confusion. Isn't that invincible? Entering means certain death? Can't we wear diving suits? Jielong raised his hand. How do you escape? If one cannot exit, even a diving suit would fail. A heavy silence enveloped the group, their respect for Mr. Mikhail's devilishly clever design evident. Take these days to contemplate. Old Qin continued. Our first step is to hack into the bank's surveillance system. He turned his gaze to the portly figure. Wang, it's on you. Wang, eager to showcase his prowess, puffed out his chest and declared, Fear not, Old Qin. I, Wang, am the foremost hacker in Huaxia. According to my calculations, the Samsung Bank surveillance system will require a specific sequence to breach. Although it may be tedious, there is no other option. Even the world's premier hacking organization would take a full day. I will be swift enough. He rambled on about his elaborate plan to disable the surveillance. Suddenly, a voice interrupted him. That won't be necessary. The group fell silent, and Wang turned toward the source of the voice, his anger flaring. Ready to retort, he discovered it was Han Li, and begrudgingly held back his ire, asking, Brother Han, what do you mean? I mean, you need not intervene. Han Li replied as he approached a nearby computer, exploring its contents. This is my computer. Brother Han, without my fingerprint, it cannot be accessed. With a chime, the computer booted up, and Han Li gained entry. Wang was left dumbfounded. What just happened? In merely a minute, Han Li had breached his own computer system. With rhythmic keystrokes, Han Li worked diligently. In no more than 5 minutes, he exhaled in relief. It's resolved. Samsung Bank surveillance is all here. We can manipulate it at will. It's no big deal. I'm just going back to sleep after staying up late yesterday, feeling rather fatigued. Then, Han Li yawned. rose, and left in astonishment before everyone. After a while, Liang scratched his head, wondering if that was it. Isn't it a hacker? It can't be that quick. Wang Fatty, how long did it take you to disable the surveillance before? Xiao Mimi inquired. Wang Fatty, twitching like a child with cerebral palsy, stammered. If lucky, a day and a half. How long did it take him? 5 minutes. Upon uttering this, Wang Fatty trembled, hardly believing that disabling the surveillance was as simple as crossing the street in the morning. Incredible. Ha ha ha. Familiarize yourselves well. Old Qin shook his head and ascended the stairs. The crowd exchanged glances and, in unison, lowered their proud heads. Masters? Of the same caliber? Nonsense. He effortlessly crushed them. They were not even on the same level. Remembering that Xiao Mimi previously thought she could stand on equal footing with Han Li, her face turned crimson as she turned to leave, utterly embarrassed. Fatty, where are you going? To Han Li's room? Oh, I'm going to seek mentorship. Want to join? Liang, let us go? Chapter 214, divided into 3 paths. Infiltrating the bank. Han Li returned to his room, where he informed Ling Han and De Yi, who were far away in other countries, of recent developments. De Yi, seeking revenge, journeyed to the Middle East, and it seemed that things were progressing smoothly, thanks to the power of wealth. The armed forces in the Middle East were more than willing to assist De Yi in eliminating his enemies. In the accompanying picture, Ling Han held a selfie stick, surrounded by a group of bearded individuals, each armed with an RPG, smiling amiably. Knock, knock, knock. At that moment, the door was rapped upon, and Han Li glanced outside. Who is it? Me, Xiao Mimi shyly replied. Come out for a moment. What is it? Oh, just come out. Can't you say it directly? With a flushed face. Xiao Mimi whispered. I would like you to teach me a few moves. Han Li, come in then. All right. Xiao Mimi entered the room. Meanwhile, Liang hid behind the wall, seemingly witnessing something he wasn't meant to see. Liang, what are you doing? Shoo. Liang covered Wang Fatty's mouth and whispered, don't make a sound. Brother Han is handling serious business. He informed him about Xiao Mimi entering. What? They might be discussing the bank heist. Wang Fatty, skeptical, replied, Xiao Mimi hates men the most. In the next moment, the two stood there, listening to the cacophony emanating from the room, their faces flushed. Is this a discussion? Your family discusses things? Such a commotion. I can't believe how fierce Brother Han is. Damn it, Xiao Mimi ignores me, but Brother Han gets all the attention. Crap. Wang Fatty lamented. The next day, Han Li and Xiao Mimi were discussing theft techniques in the conference room when they coincidentally encountered Liang and Wang Fatty. Did you guys get beaten up by Jialong? Xiao Mimi tilted her head. The two of them had dark circles under their eyes, swollen as if they had been through a battle. Based on the surveillance observations, I have discerned the layout of the bank, and infiltrating the establishment poses no issue. However, Wang Fatty's expression revealed his unease. The vault. This presents their most formidable challenge. Accessing the vault necessitates several conditions. 2 keys located in different places and the bank manager's fingerprint. Only then can we unlock the vault, Mr. Qin stated. In other words, they currently need to acquire these 3 items. Let us proceed, everyone. The group became tense. For the time to act had finally arrived. We shall split into 3 teams. At Samsung Bank, the morning's residual glow had yet to fade. A few security guards, yawning, monitored the passing vehicles. Suddenly, a van drove in, and as the window rolled down, a cheerful face emerged. Hello, we are the cleaning company sent by the bank manager. Liang said with a smile. The guard hesitated momentarily, then, upon confirming the information, permitted them entry. The van rolled in, and Liang turned to his companion Han Li. Brother Han, it is an honor to act alongside you. In the first team, Han Li and Liang, having learned in advance of the cleaning company's arrival, disguised themselves as cleaners to blend into Samsung Bank. In the second team, a woman dressed in an exquisite trench coat and high heels, exuding charm, walked into the bank. Excuse me, may I ask who you are? I am the portrait scanner for this operation, Su Jun. Xiao Mimi presented her credentials. The guard stepped aside. Please, come in. Ha ha ha, Miss Su Jun, welcome to Samsung Bank. This way, please. The bank manager personally came to greet Xiao Mimi, visibly pleased by the presence of such beauty. Hello, Manager Yin. You are just as handsome as in the photographs. Noticing her hands were occupied with a coffee cup, Manager Yin graciously offered to take it from her. And they shook hands. Thank you. Thus, Xiao Mimi effortlessly acquired the bank manager's fingerprint, striding confidently into the bank, flashing a smile at a nearby camera. Success. In the back, Wang Fatsi and Mr. Qin, who were monitoring these developments, felt invigorated. Excellent. The first step has succeeded. Next, Han Li and Liang, having infiltrated the bank, split up once more. Liang pushed a cart, swiftly passing through various rooms without pause. Recalling the layout, he located the control room of the bank, placed a do not enter sign at the door, and then entered the server area. He retrieved a set of equipment from the cart and directly connected it to the server, importing the data. Import successful. Liang punched the air triumphantly. The bank surveillance was now at Wang Fatsi's disposal. In the third team, Han Li, head bowed, quietly pushed his cart into a vast, empty conference room. There was no one else present. Excellent. Through their understanding of the bank's layout, they discovered that the conference room was situated directly above the vault. Undoubtedly the optimal reconnaissance location. Producing a detection device, Han Li crawled beneath the table, skillfully connecting the sensor to the floor, probing downward. The data continued to update. In the monitoring room of Samsung Bank, a figure appeared. As everyone rose to their feet, bowing respectfully, they exclaimed, "Commander, please, take a seat." The elderly man with silver hair casually found a place to sit. His name was Feng Xiui, the former commander of the military district. Now retired and tasked with safeguarding the bank. Countless criminals had attempted to seize its treasures, but he had thwarted them all, leaving no one able to escape his grasp. During this time, he sensed a disturbance in the air, as if someone had set their sights on the bank. Increase the intensity. Yes. The old man stood and surveyed the surveillance monitors, his eyes sharp as an eagle's, scanning every inch. Suddenly, he halted, fixating on a particular spot. What is that woman doing? Meanwhile, Han Li, who was analyzing data, heard the sound of a door opening, followed by the shuffle of footsteps. Let's hold the meeting here today. A group of individuals entered, taking their seats and preparing for the conference. Is there a meeting today? Han Li was perplexed, but he quickly composed himself, lowering his voice and holding his breath. He estimated that these individuals wouldn't convene for long. He merely had to wait a while. The group chattered noisily, engaging in a heated discussion. Han Li focused on the detector, noting that the progress on the screen was nearing 95%. Just 3 more minutes, he thought, and he would be able to complete this analysis and exit unscathed. Beep. Just as he finished his thought, the detector emitted a faint alert. The screen lit up and read, 95% stuck? This was interference. There was a jammer hidden here. Damn it. Han Li's heart sank, his body tensing, for he feared that others might have heard the sound as well. Sure enough, one of the attendees inquired, "What was that noise? Are you imagining things?" "No. There is something. It seems to be coming from below." The man moved from above to beneath the table, peering as if something lay hidden beneath. He bent down, preparing to investigate. Under the table, Han Li spotted a hand and realized that the man was about to discover him. His entire body tensed, his heart racing. Chapter 215. Key duplication successful, conditions met. Would he be found out? The man slowly lowered himself. With just a slight tilt of his head, he would see Han Li concealed beneath the table. Ahem. Suddenly, the speaker at the podium, the manager, expressed irritation. "Are you daydreaming while I am speaking passionately?" "Apologies, manager. I was just picking up my pen." He hurriedly withdrew. Han Li exhaled, relieved to have narrowly avoided discovery. He reactivated the detector, and the data continued to update. Ding. Achieved 100. Meanwhile, the meeting attendees concluded their session and departed the office. In a flash, Han Li swiftly concealed the detector within a cart and nonchalantly proceeded down the corridor. On the other side, disguised as an art scanner, Xiao Mimi addressed the bank manager, pointing to a painting hung on the wall of the office. This artwork was one of the manager's prized possessions, cherished dearly. "Thank you. I, by nature, am fond of tranquil environments and require your concession." Xiao Mimi skillfully diverted the bank president. All right. He chuckled as he departed. The moment he exited, Xiao Mimi swiftly approached the surveillance camera, gesturing an OK sign. In the background, Wang Fatty hastily switched the office's surveillance feed, pausing it at the moment when Xiao Mimi was ostensibly cleaning the oil painting. The replay appeared remarkably natural. A ruse so clever that even the adversary would not suspect a thing. Impressive, Wang Fatty. How did you conceive such a strategy? Old Mo nodded in approval. Wang Fatty beamed with pride. This was taught to me by General Han. In the office, Xiao Mimi had no intention of cleaning the painting. Instead, she turned and approached a wall, unlocking a storage cabinet. Inside, she discovered a key. "Let the operation commence," she declared. Minutes later, Xiao Mimi emerged and addressed the bank president. "Next." "All right, just like before." However, just as she prepared to record the repeated surveillance, the bank president unexpectedly barged in. "How did you get in here?" he asked. "This painting is my greatest treasure. I merely stand by in silence. You need not worry," he reassured her. Xiao Mimi was taken aback. Wang Fatty, witnessing this scene, thought, "Oh no, Xiao Mimi has been cornered by the bank president." Simultaneously, in the bank's monitoring room, the commander scrutinized the footage of Xiao Mimi, observing her repeatedly wiping the canvas, which struck him as peculiar. "Let us take another look. If anything seems amiss, intervene immediately." Old Qin remained calm. "It's fine. She can handle it." Indeed, after a brief moment of hesitation, Xiao Mimi had a sudden inspiration and smiled, saying, "Bank president, could you please step back?" "Why?" "The upper management requires us to shoot a work video. It's quite troublesome." Xiao Mimi pouted. All right. The bank president, albeit a bit lecherous, took out his phone and positioned himself outside the surveillance range to film her. At this point, a solution had materialized. Wang Fatty immediately captured the footage of Xiao Mimi cleaning and replaced the repeated sequence, feeling a twinge of anxiety. If they lingered too long, their ruse might be uncovered. Yet, how would Xiao Mimi duplicate the key? Old Qin pondered. "Let Han Li handle it." Understood. Wang Fatty relayed Xiao Mimi's predicament to Han Li, who promptly made his way to the office. Intentionally, he spilled a bucket of filthy water onto the floor. Then he shouted, "Oh no." The effect was immediate. Upon hearing the commotion outside, the bank president rushed to the door and, upon seeing the puddle of muck, frowned. What has happened? Opportunity knocked. Xiao Mimi swiftly retrieved the key and began the duplication process. Outside, Han Li restrained the bank president, preventing him from entering the room. Don't dock my pay. I understand now, let go. Wait, you're not a homosexual, are you? Bang. They both turned to see Xiao Mimi emerge, wearing an unusual expression, and she announced, I've completed it, I must take my leave. Han Li released the bank president, coldly stating, Bank president, I quit, and then proceeded to push the cart away. The bank manager, left in a state of bewilderment, hurried indoors to open the safe, where he discovered the keys still inside, allowing him to breathe a sigh of relief. Everything was fine. Inside the club, Xiao Mimi placed her findings on the table. Embedded within the clay were exact replicas of 2 keys, indistinguishable from the originals. Then, she produced an intact coffee cup and, using paper, lifted the residual fingerprints from its surface. With the final fingerprints secured, all conditions to unlock the ultimate vault were met. Everyone couldn't help but admire Xiao Mimi's adeptness. Thus, only one thing remained. Elder Qin turned his gaze towards Han Li, who stood beside the whiteboard. What do you think? Han Li had sketched a large blueprint on the board and pointed at a design resembling a reservoir. This vault is equipped with a safety mechanism akin to a scale, which measures its weight. If the weight changes, it causes the reservoir above to tilt, leading to the vault door locking automatically. However, while this may seem insurmountable, achieving weight equilibrium renders the mechanism ineffective. Han Li marked an X on the scale. Our goal is to incapacitate this balance. It seemed there was newfound progress. Yet the exterior of the vault was composed of a formidable material, making drilling impractical. Old Mo, having assessed the vault's thickness, sighed. What shall we do? Time is of the essence. We cannot afford to drill our way in. The group fell into contemplation. At that moment, Han Li smiled and remarked, Isn't the solution glaringly obvious? The others looked puzzled as he pointed towards the square outside, where a large crowd had gathered, holding signs that read, Get the tycoons out. The protest was fervent and ongoing. This is our opportunity, Han Li declared, grinning. Xiao Mimi quickly grasped the implication. It's feasible. Amidst the chaos of the crowd, we can easily infiltrate. This could work. Aelion concurred. Elder Qin nodded. Then tomorrow, we shall breach the vault and reclaim the dragon's head. The group enthusiastically agreed. Han Li called over Old Mo and Aelion. Come with me. We need to prepare some items. Inside the bank, the manager was enjoying tea with the commander, discussing their futures. Provided nothing goes awry, I shall soon be promoted within the tycoon's ranks, and I will surely not forget you. The old man scoffed, glancing at a nearby janitor. New face? Ha ha. You're mistaken. He's an old employee, always been here. The bank manager shook his head with a wry smile. The old man suddenly recalled the 2 janitors from yesterday. They must be new hires. But we haven't hired anyone recently, the janitor replied, perplexed. He remembered distinctly that no new employees had been brought on board in recent days. Are you saying you haven't hired anyone lately? The old man frowned. Yes. I need to see the employee roster. The bank manager waved dismissively. What is the point of dwelling on that? Hurry. All right. Soon enough. The elderly man noticed the employee roster of the janitors, his keen eyes scanning it, only to find the absence of the 2 cleaners from the previous day. There's something amiss. Investigate those 2 suspicious individuals immediately. Our bank is being targeted. The bank president was taken aback. Is it that serious? The report revealed that the 2 individuals had no registered information, only 2 unassigned phone numbers. This confirmed their suspicions. The elderly man, stroking his chin with cautious deliberation, sensed that the impending days would bring danger. Since they are coming, I shall wait for their arrival. Orders were issued. Within the bank, all security personnel began to prepare, eagerly anticipating the arrival of the robbers. In a moment, the bank's covert vigilance intensified, with 24-hour surveillance cameras installed in every concealed location. Chapter 216. The bank is sealed off. This is indeed a trap. Suddenly, such a large crowd gathered. There had been no unusual occurrences at the bank in recent days until today. Outside the bank, a large group of citizens inexplicably appeared, clamoring and raising placards. Oh, it's the recent anti-conglomerate movement. How strange that it would come to Samsung Bank. Typically, don't they protest in the city center? What is happening today? A sense of foreboding washed over the elderly man as he gazed through the window at the crowd below, filled with concern. Outside the bank, the crowd was in an uproar, chanting, "Conglomerates, get out! Out with you! Comrades, our victory is at hand. Let us overthrow the Han Island conglomerates." Suddenly, a man holding a placard noticed something was amiss. Who are you? Who I am is of little consequence. In the next moment, the man vanished, and he found those around him consumed by fervor, losing their rationality. Remarkable. Aelion gasped, unable to fathom how Han Li, with mere incitement, could draw such a crowd here. What was most alarming was that he had managed to involve others, who, in a daze, followed suit. Ultimately, the throng surged forward, resembling a religious initiation. Citizens, let us overthrow the conglomerates and establish the people's rule. Han Li shouted from within the crowd, inciting the unaware citizens of Han Island, who echoed in fervor. The people shall govern. Excellent. The plan can now be executed. Observing the chaos at the bank, Han Li knew a large number of guards would be needed to disperse the crowd, and thus he slipped away from the throng. Meanwhile, from their elevated position, Xiao Mimi and her companions prepared. They were situated atop a high platform, a mere 100 meters from Samsung Bank, ready to seize the opportunity amidst the turmoil to stealthily infiltrate the bank via a launched rope. The brilliance of this strategy was undeniable. The group watched as Han Li returned, their admiration for his cunning plan rekindled. "Let us commence," Liang declared, launching the rope towards Samsung Bank. The clamor outside held little significance in comparison. A group of individuals, utilizing ropes, ascended towards the bank. Shortly thereafter, they successfully reached the summit of the Samsung Bank. "Look, this is hollow glass. It saves us time," Liang chuckled. "Damn it, the bank is so ostentatious, typical of the tycoons." However, this very extravagance proved to be their downfall. "Heh," Xiao Mimi remarked, speechless. Yet, Han Li exhibited an excited grin, thinking, the naive child of a landlord, how delightful. The group directly descended through the glass window, landing on the third floor of the bank. In an instant, the rotund Wang in the back swiftly altered the surveillance feed, ensuring they left no traces. Upon witnessing this, Old Qin expressed his admiration. "Perfect. You little ones are truly in sync." "Indeed. This time we are destined to succeed," Liang boasted. However, just as he finished speaking, a sharp, piercing siren blared ominously in their ears. The group was startled. Triggered the alarm? Impossible. Xiao Mimi refused to believe it. As they had not even touched the alarm, Han Li, quick-witted, soon discovered a red dot concealed within a potted plant nearby. "A detector. It's a trap. Do they know we're here?" Everything transpired so swiftly. "Oh no, look above," Liang exclaimed in terror, pointing towards the air. That was the route they had taken. The fragile glass window now bore an iron barrier, firmly sealed with not a single gap. Their escape route was utterly severed. How ruthless. Liang's face burned with humiliation. Having just been struck down by fate. Simultaneously, throughout the bank, disturbances were noted, as countless iron doors descended, revealing the hidden guards, their expressions twisted in menace. Outside the bank, the security personnel ceased their engagement with the unruly intruders and, upon receiving orders, retreated back into the bank. In the next moment, the bank's entrance was locked tight. "Damn it!" Wang, observing the scene, broke into a sweat. "What is happening?" Old Qin rushed over, inquiring anxiously. "It's over. The entire bank is sealed. Han and the others are trapped." Old Qin was left bewildered. What occurred? They were ambushed. Report. Intruders have been identified. The bank is sealed. In the bank surveillance room, the Korean personnel rejoiced, astonished that the big fish had taken the bait. The elder remained calm. "Just a minor commotion. Merely a few petty thieves." "Indeed, you are truly remarkable," the bank manager said, rubbing his hands together with a smile. The elder instructed, "Quickly dispatch the troops." "Understood." The bank manager contacted the military camp across the street, and soon, a large contingent of soldiers surrounded the bank. Subsequently, he ordered the activation of numerous jammers within the bank, effectively cutting off the enemy's signals. Thus, their success was assured. On the third floor, Liang felt a sense of panic. The path was blocked. "What should we do, Wang? Think of something." However, the response was silence. "What is going on? Fatty?" "This isn't a joke. It is no time for jest. I have also lost contact with Fatty. Xiao Mimi seems rather peculiar." Han Li remarked, "It must be jammers. It appears the adversary has deployed numerous devices to render us isolated and helpless. So, they are aware of our arrival? Damn it, could there be a mole among us?" Liang felt a chill envelop him, his scalp prickling with dread. Han Li, uncertain yet resolute, responded, "It is likely that our identities as cleaners were unveiled the day before yesterday. The enemy is cunning." "Are we doomed then?" Liang exclaimed in despair. They would undoubtedly be apprehended. Old Qin had stated that this operation was theirs to manage. "We are surely facing imprisonment." Xiao Mimi furrowed her brow, realizing that this was indeed a trap laid by the enemy. As doubt crept into their minds, Han Li, with unwavering determination, declared, "We have come this far. We shall see it through." At this juncture, it was merely a case of the brave prevailing in narrow encounters. With that, he sprinted ahead. "Are you still a man?" Xiao Mimi followed suit. Liang, seething with anger, gritted his teeth and trailed behind them. The sound of heavy footsteps approached. A battalion of guards was advancing. "Damn it!" Liang halted, for ahead lay the guards. "It's over. We are to be captured." At that moment, Han Li retrieved several smoke bombs from his bag and deftly hurled them towards an intersection ahead. Instantly, tear gas engulfed the guards, leaving them in disarray. "Curse it! This is tear gas. Cover your mouths and noses." They had not anticipated that the enemy would possess such weaponry. How had they acquired it? This development undoubtedly bought Han Li and his companions some precious time. "What shall we do now?" Xiao Mimi inquired. Han Li became the anchor for the trio. "Let me think." As the smoke began to dissipate, the guards, grim and armed with firearms and shields, advanced step by step. Xiao Mimi and Liang felt their hearts race as they realized the guards were drawing perilously close. Chapter 217. Breaching the Miraculous, returning home with the dragon's head. Just as the guards were about to close in, Han Li glanced to the side and noticed a utility closet. "Yes, let us go there." if memory served him right. The closet connected to the bank's ventilation ducts, which might allow them to bypass the guards. Exactly, the ventilation ducts. Xiao Mimi quickly grasped the plan, and the three of them dashed towards the utility closet. They had to escape. Stop, you rascals. Seize them. The guards burst forth from the smoke, catching a fleeting glimpse of three indistinct figures. Where do you think you're going? Capture them. They lunged forward, but collectively halted in shock. It was merely three dummies clad in coats. You fools, they are at the other end, came the irate voice of the elder over the intercom. Inside the utility closet, Han Li swiftly shut the door behind them. The trio removed their outer garments, having used them to mislead the guards. Now, one by one, they ascended into the ventilation duct, within the cramped confines of the duct. Xiao Mimi's cheeks flushed with embarrassment as she frequently warned Liang not to gaze indiscreetly. Rest assured, I am not that kind of person, Liang insisted, his eyes fixed intently ahead, so perfectly round. Meanwhile, Han Li, at the rear, was diligently climbing while extracting various gadgets from his bag, placing them within the ventilation duct. What have you installed? Someone inquired. A surprise, Han Li responded. Suddenly, a tremendous explosion erupted from behind them. Bang! Following this, a cacophony of anguished cries from the Han Dao people ensued. Where did the bomb in the ventilation duct come from? Damn! In the bank's backroom, everyone was left speechless. A bomb in the duct? Where could it have originated? The elderly gazed wide-eyed, utterly at a loss. This is a recipe for disaster. Liang burst into laughter. What a relief, President Han. It was essential. Thanks to Han Li's explosive device, the three of them were the first to emerge from the ventilation duct. Bang! As the panel was kicked open, Han Li and the others descended. Ahead lay a pitch-black expanse, the dim underground illuminated only by a chasm-like hollow area in the center. They found themselves on a platform, directly opposite the path leading to the bank's underground vault. It's so deep, Liang exclaimed in fear. If we fall, we're done for. However, he felt reassured, for they had already anticipated this scenario. The trio retrieved their backpacks, extracting segments of pipe that could be assembled into a ladder. They propped one against the opposite platform. Yet, inexplicably, a sudden gust of wind swept through the abyss, sending the assembled ladder into disarray. Damn, how can we cross? Liang stepped back, apprehensive of the fierce wind. Are you afraid? Xiao Mimi taunted as she boldly stepped onto the ladder. Afraid? Liang retorted angrily, climbing up the ladder and preparing to execute a daring maneuver. Han Li remarked. After traversing the precarious bridge, they finally arrived at the final location. Outside the vault door of the bank, the group exchanged glances. Xiao Mimi produced a key and a fingerprint scanner from her bag, each corresponding to the requirements for unlocking the vault. They awaited in anticipation. Suddenly, a creaking sound echoed as the grand door slowly opened. Standing outside, Han Li and his companions beheld an object covered in lavish fabric at the center of the vault, the silhouette of protruding dragon horns barely visible. The dragon's head! They exclaimed in unison, excitement radiating from them. We did it. The coveted dragon's head is now within our grasp, Liang declared, nearly stepping inside before being halted by Xiao Mimi. Be cautious, don't forget the order of balance. Above the vault, a statue resembling an angel, sword in hand, solemnly scrutinized everyone approaching the vault. One misstep could invoke its wrath. Should the balance be disrupted, the three would meet their end within, unable to retrieve their own bodies. Today, a man named Han Li was poised to issue a final challenge to it. How intriguing. Han Li gazed upon the angelic statue and its intricate internal mechanism, marveling at the exquisite craftsmanship of the flawless design. Yet, perfection is but a fleeting illusion in this world. With that thought, Han Li donned a protective suit and retrieved a small liquid oxygen canister from behind him. Is this your solution? Indeed. Han Li raised the liquid oxygen canister and began to spray it fervently around the foundation of the vault. This time, he had procured several bottles from the old well. As each bottle was expended, a layer of white frost continued to manifest on the ground. Liang observed the stillness of the vault with a grim expression. No effect? Han Li reassured him. Patience. The three waited anxiously, and at that moment, Han Li, with keen eyes, pointed to the floor. Inside the vault, ripples of icy energy suddenly erupted, spreading forth into the depths. Before long, the entire vault was enveloped in a frigid expanse, encased in ice. Is this sufficient? Liang still felt a tinge of fear. To dispel the apprehension, Han Li stepped boldly into the vault without hesitation. The others gasped in surprise. However, no door sealed shut, nor did torrents of water cascade. All remained tranquil. In this scene, Han Li shed his protective suit, radiating the aura of a victor as he smiled at his companions. Damn the angels! Incredible! Han, you are truly remarkable. Liang exclaimed. Xiao Mimi entered and, finding everything safe, curiously asked Han Li, how did you accomplish this? Quite simply, he replied. Since this security device relies on weight fluctuations, we merely maintain a constant weight. By utilizing the liquid oxygen canisters to freeze the entire mechanism, it becomes incapable of sensing our weight, thus remaining unchanged. Xiao Mimi marveled. Is this the power of knowledge? A fierce bandit with culture. How terrifying. Time was of the essence, and Han Li urged, we must hurry inside. The effects of the liquid oxygen were fleeting. The trio swiftly entered the vault and unveiled the veil. Instantly, the dragon's head was revealed. A magnificent aura enveloped them, leaving the three momentarily awestruck. Truly, this was a treasure of Huaxia. The dragon's head should not be concealed in such a place. Liang, gazing at the treasure, felt a surge of anguish at the thought of the nefarious Han Island conglomerate claiming it for themselves. Indeed, we must bring it home, Han Li asserted. The three carefully placed the dragon's head into a container. This exhilarating news, however, could not reach Old Qin in time. How do we leave? Liang found himself in confusion again. The escape route had been sealed off by their adversaries. Yet, Han Li remained unperturbed. Fear not, assistance is on the way. What do you mean? Xiao Mimi and Liang inquired in bewilderment. The next moment, a resounding crash echoed from outside. The three emerged from the vault to discover an opening had been carved out, revealing the old Wu, donned in a safety helmet. He spat out some debris, exposing his gleaming white teeth as he brandished a drill. Hey boys, let's go. Old Wu, you are my savior. What brings you here? At that moment, the arrival of the old Wu was undoubtedly a stroke of fortune amidst their dire circumstances. How did you discover this? Liang inquired. Han Li informed me, Lao Mo replied. Liang's eyes brimmed with tears. President Han, you are the best. It turned out that Han Li had kept a secret, discreetly instructing Lao Mo to carve a passage through the sole vulnerability on the bank's exterior. The group emerged through the opening and was immediately met by a throng of mixed protesters. They blended into the crowd, escaping seamlessly, unnoticed by anyone. It was only when the bank manager, accompanied by security, arrived at the underground vault that they realized it was utterly empty. With a thud, the bank manager collapsed to the ground, as if his soul had departed. It's gone. I'm finished. The elder seethed. Where are they? Report. Outside is filled with people. How can we search? Damn it. The crowd erupted in curses. These thieves came prepared. Inside the club, Elder Qin rose from his rattan chair. He approached slowly, as if bearing witness to countless years, until he stood before the dragon head. With a gentle touch, reminiscent of a parent caressing a child returning home, he whispered, Child, you have returned. Chapter 218. The Return Show, The Great Sage Returns. The dragon head's return signifies that what belongs to Huaxia ultimately remains with Huaxia. No one can claim it for themselves. The tycoon gazed down at the dragon head, his teeth clenched in rage as he smashed everything in sight, venting his fury. Damn it. How could this be stolen? I demand that those robbers be captured. The butler remained speechless. The dragon head is, after all, Huaxia's. Are you suggesting you would report on yourself? The tycoon howled. Since my youth, I've never felt so wronged. Young master, given that the dragon head has returned to Huaxia, it might very well have been the work of Huaxia people. Perhaps we should direct our anger towards them. Upon hearing the butler's words, the tycoon's eyes brightened, and he grinned malevolently. Indeed, I like this idea. That day, Han Li and his companions prepared to return to Huaxia when a sensational news story broke. Liang, clutching a newspaper, was infuriated, cursing vehemently, wishing to condemn the ancestors of those responsible. Damn it, this tycoon is a fool. President Han, look. Han Li took the newspaper, his expression darkening. The headline read, Samsung factory fires all Huaxia employees overnight, leaving countless individuals bereft of their livelihoods. As they poured out of the factory, many were in tears. For losing their jobs felt like a dead end. Han Li, the flight tickets are booked. We depart in the afternoon. Xiao Mimi, dressed exquisitely, entered but was taken aback. On the side, Han Li's face was particularly grim, his grip on the newspaper nearly crushing it. His tone was chillingly indifferent, instilling fear. I still have one matter to attend to. He pulled out his phone. As the ringtone echoed, he spoke. Hello? Boss, do we have people on Han Island? Yes. Good. Do you need me to come over? Joseph's tone was grave. Han Li replied, I will handle it. With a decisive click, he hung up. Mr. Han, what are you planning? Take me with you. Upon hearing this call, Liang immediately stood up. Take me with you. Jia Long emerged from the bedroom, visibly displeased about not participating this time. And me? Xiao Mimi raised her hand. After spending several days together, they had already formed a familial bond. All right. Han Li led them to a nearby supermarket, where they purchased an array of masks. These masks are quite something. On another front, the tycoon, having dismissed all the employees from Huaxia, settled down comfortably, sending away the women as he swirled his glass of red wine. Having wealth is truly delightful. Huaxia people, how dare you covet my treasures? This might incite discontent from Huaxia, causing the lawyer to scratch his head in frustration. Tycoon. Han Island, who can challenge me? What a joke. The tycoon is akin to the heavens. The Huaxia individuals, upon arriving at Han Island, must bow their heads and behave modestly. Indeed, the lawyer concurred. Suddenly, a ringing interrupted. The tycoon, noticing the lawyer's troubled expression, felt a sense of unease. Not good. The lawyer turned around, hastily exclaiming, The bandit Peiqi has issued us a challenge. Peiqi? The tycoon was taken aback. Quick, contact the Han Island Police Department and summon them all, along with the military. Instantly, the entire Han Island police force stirred with agitation. The criminals from Huaxia dare to cause trouble here? They are courting death. Bring it on, bandit Peiqi. I'll capture every single one. The dismissed Huaxiao employees had found new jobs, and I would have the Huaxiao enterprises stationed on Han Island provide for them. Elder Qin looked at Han Li. Elder Qin, have I acted impulsively? Elder Qin nodded, chuckling. Young people, after all. Can you really call them young if they aren't a bit impetuous? Go ahead. Behind you stands Huaxia. Han Li nodded and slowly donned a mask resembling the great sage. Murmuring theatrically, I shall strike down all demons and monsters. One step at a time, he walked out, with Xiao Mimi and the others wearing their respective masks. Following him out of the clubhouse. Outside the clubhouse, countless black sedans were parked, and the crowd surged. Each member of the Angel Society in white suits bowed to Han Li, exclaiming in unison, "Boss." "Let us go," Han Li said, getting into the car. With a flurry, numerous members piled into their vehicles. This spectacle ignited a surge of excitement in Aoyang, his blood boiling with fervor. Simultaneously, Han Li informed the program team back in Huaxiao about this operation, marking it as his grand return. Buzzing in the Huaxiao program team, the director raised his fist. "Han Li, this young man is about to do something monumental. It's getting exciting. Mr. Han, my Mr. Han, has returned. Let us go, the great sage is back." Incredible. In the live stream, some viewers noticed Han Li's return, erupting in fervent excitement. Online, it was akin to a festival. Mr. Han is back? Incredible. This is a major event. Forget the girlfriend, I just want Mr. Han. In the live broadcast room, the number of viewers surged at a terrifying pace, almost inciting envy among the biggest stars. In mere moments, millions flocked to the stream. And within an hour, countless media outlets exclaimed that the viewership had surpassed 95 million. Just 5 minutes later, it soared to 300 million. What madness is this? The frenzy was palpable. Where are the limits? The server held steady as the barrage of comments filled the screen, rendering the visuals nearly invisible. Welcome back, Mr. Han. Meanwhile, on the streets, a relentless procession of police vehicles from Han Island flashed their lights. In Chapter 219, chaos ensued as the tumultuous battle intensified. A fierce detective gripped the collar of an officer, signaling a bloody conflict was on the horizon. In his years of service, he had never required such a formidable display of police force, even when dismantling the most notorious gangs. Who were they up against? Wang Yanxiu turned to see his superior. You lead the charge, and anyone associated with Han Li is to be apprehended. Remember, deliver them to the conglomerate. The directive was given in hushed tones. Forget about any show, the conglomerate reigns supreme. Wang Yanxiu felt a chill run down his spine. Once this man from Huaxiao fell into the hands of the conglomerate, he would undoubtedly meet an untimely and obscure demise. You are a veteran member of Angel. Should you be eliminated this time, I will ensure you receive due compensation. Han Li stated, his fists clenched. Who dares claim that a strong dragon cannot overpower a local snake? What of the conglomerate? It was time to teach them a lesson. Yes, boss, the minister of the Han Island branch of Angel replied, ready to bring his subordinates into the fray. Mr. Han, are you still accepting new recruits? Liang inquired, his eyes sparkling with excitement. Han Li chuckled, the live stream is buzzing. Ha ha ha, such is the aura of a big shot. He continued, I haven't been a leader for many years, my path has strayed, but the young men's horizons have expanded. In Liang's eyes, Han Li's stature had ascended yet again. This time, a single utterance from Mr. Han had mobilized the entire police force of Han Island. Numbering no less than several hundred elite personnel, he recognized that the most formidable individual on Han Island stood before him, and their advantage was merely numerical. The factory primarily processed gold and jewelry, valued at 10 billion, making it one of Han Island's few key enterprises. If we can disrupt such a significant business. Han Li chuckled, prompting laughter from those around him. The audience in the live stream erupted with excitement. Is this the beginning of a decisive battle? Han Island is destined to be humbled by Mr. Han. It seems a few will inevitably be eliminated, though the outcome remains uncertain. The police of Han Island are no amateurs. They fear not being able to contend with the local snakes. The viewers believed in Mr. Han's capabilities while also harboring curiosity about how this confrontation would unfold. As they approached the factory, the members of Angel, armed with specialized weaponry, were palpably tense. Such a grand scene is indeed a first for us. Yet, there is no doubt that they are all exhilarated, eager to show these residents of Han Island a thing or two. Suddenly, the wailing sirens of police cars pierce the air, startling everyone. They have arrived. The great showdown commences. The police chief from Han Island is on the move. Meanwhile, Han Li, accompanied by Liang and others, initiates a flanking attack, first seeking a vantage point from which they can observe everything below. This will suffice. As he speaks, Han Li, after a prolonged absence, retrieves a specially crafted sniper rifle, a weapon that had been a considerable challenge to airlift. Brother Jialong, I must trouble you. Beside him, Jialong, donning an Ultraman mask and wielding a machete, nods and strides toward a patch of grass below. Laughter erupts. Grandpa Chui has a successor. Han Li encourages, go for it, Brother Long. Is this Brother Long truly formidable? Just as the audience begins to question the capabilities of this newcomer, Jialong swiftly silences them, leaving them kneeling in submission. Before long, Han Li and his companions spot several police officers, including one from Han Island carrying a sniper rifle. These individuals appear to be the enemy's marksmen, seeking a high ground. Unfortunately, they are met with a barrage of gunfire. Two are swiftly taken down, leaving the group in shock. A master marksman. Quickly, take cover. However, before the remaining snipers can react, a fierce warrior emerges from the grass. With a single stroke of his machete, Jialong sends the remaining snipers sprawling, swiftly dispatching the last of them with a decisive cut. Eliminated. A swift strike to the throat. My goodness, this individual is a true expert. He must be a special forces operative. The Han Island snipers are left in utter disbelief. What? We just arrived and it's over? This is outrageous. They seethe with frustration, cursing their own inadequacies. Han Li approaches, indifferent to the disgruntled snipers, cheerfully seizing their walkie-talkie. Meanwhile, at the factory, the newly arrived police officers from Han Island receive a call. Is the sniper team in position? Oddly, the snipers confirm their readiness, and the superior officer ends the communication without further thought. There seems to be something amiss at this factory. Wang Yinxiu approaches, having just reviewed the files, only to find them alarmingly sparse regarding this facility. The superior's expression darkens. Do not inquire into matters that should remain unasked. Wang Yinxiu feels a surge of anger, simultaneously convinced that something nefarious lies within. Deep within the factory, flames roar, the heat causing the air to sizzle. Continue the refinement. A rotund man, holding a bottle, bellows at the employees below to expedite their work. Brother, will this batch of contraband go undetected by the higher-ups? Beside him, a menacing figure with a scar sneers. Rest assured, we are working for the Chaebils. Who would dare expose us? Ha ha ha. Indeed, with the backing of a conglomerate, they exude confidence. The vaults are brimming with boxes of wealth. If the police chiefs of Han Island were aware that these so-called gold bars were, in fact, stuffed with narcotics, one wonders what their reaction would be. The surrounding gang members chuckled in unison. Yet, all of this was captured by a drone stationed outside the railing. A blatant act of crime. Liang was at a loss for words. This gang was so brazen, daring to manufacture drugs right within the factory? Doesn't the police chief intervene? Oh right, the police chief listens to the conglomerates. Damn, Mr. Han, let us take them all out. The members of Angel were also seething with anger, because previously, this gang had exploited their fellow countrymen. But patience is key. Now is not the time to act recklessly. Anyone who dares to attack first shall face my wrath. Subsequently, Han Li hacked into the nearby surveillance, gathering intelligence on the police forces of Han Island. He felt a growing sense of assurance. Mr. Han, just say the word. My brothers can hardly contain their eagerness for action. As seconds ticked by, suddenly someone shouted. Oh no, one of the police chiefs has been eliminated. Whereas the sniper. The higher-ups of the Han Island police were struck dumb. How could they be assassinated by the enemy? Report, it was the sniper who was eliminated. Hurry, take some men to investigate. Meanwhile, this commotion startled the gang members on guard, who scratched their heads, bewildered by the unfolding events. Upon looking up, they were taken aback. An armed police chief rushed over, looking quite urgent, seemingly ready to launch an attack. A surprise attack? The gang member panicked and hurried deeper inside, shouting to Scarface and the others, Boss, it's bad. Those cops are about to come in. Who gave them the audacity? Arm yourselves, brothers. One by one, they armed themselves with real firearms and charged towards the exit. At that moment, Han Li's gaze turned icy. The time had come. Chapter 220. A clever use of a knife to slay an enemy, stirring up turmoil. Gunfire erupted, genuinely astonished the police chiefs. Without understanding the situation, a large group armed with guns suddenly charged out, shooting indiscriminately at them. Real weapons? Damn, they're serious? Retreat. How fierce. The gang members scattered, utterly disorganized, facing opponents wielding real guns. Seeing this, the upper echelons of Han Island were distressed. He knew these individuals were working for the conglomerate. Yet with the arrow already knocked, this drill was under the scrutiny of the entire nation. He couldn't let these real criminals escape. Aren't they our own people? Scarface called for a ceasefire. Chief, long time no see. Fool, don't try to get chummy with me. The police chiefs were perplexed. The chief gritted his teeth. Damn it, you've caused me a catastrophe. He pointed at Scarface and declared, the net of heaven is vast yet meticulous. Capture these criminals. Not a single one shall escape. Scarface was taken aback, and soon, the police and the gang found themselves inexplicably embroiled in a brawl. What are you doing, you fools? We work for the conglomerate. Eliminate them, eradicate them completely. The director's eyes burned with fury, yet his heart bled within. The Shiba gang was doomed. The director, dashing in appearance, rallied his forces. Charge forth. The police officers hurled copious amounts of tear gas, forcing the scar-faced man and his associates to retreat into the factory. This old fool, is he serious? Damn it, if we're going down, we shall all perish together. All of this transpired under the watchful gaze of a drone hovering high above. Liang and his companions stood transfixed, unable to articulate their thoughts. How unexpected. Who would have anticipated that the enemy would turn upon themselves? Remarkable. Mr. Han, this is a classic case of killing with a borrowed knife. Ha ha. Infighting within the Shiba, Han Li remarked, the fisherman benefits from the chaos. Seizing the opportunity amidst their disarray, he instructed, create some trouble and steal all those drugs. What about those police officers? One inquired. Eliminate them, Han Li commanded. Rising to his feet, he declared, "Let us go." A fervor ignited among the eager members. Soon, they breached an opening and surged deep into the factory. "Who are you, Shiba?" they shouted in alarm. Bang, bang, bang. A few remaining gang members, caught off guard, fell one by one to Jielong's prowess. They would soon realize the consequences of their actions. The members of the Angel faction nodded in agreement, tasked with obstructing both the gang and the police. At that moment, the scar-faced man, cursing vehemently, shouted at the police officers engaged in a gunfight, utterly oblivious to the fact that their hideout had already been compromised. "Where are the drugs?" Liang exclaimed in astonishment. "This can't be right. There were heaps of them just moments ago. How could they have vanished? They must have transported them out." A man emerged from a slope, unable to endure the chaos any longer. "I saw several individuals carrying bags of drugs through the underground waterway. Are they attempting to escape?" A foul odor wafted through the air as several gang members navigated the sewer. They had received word that the police had gone berserk and were hastily moving the drugs. The load was heavy, necessitating a cart for transport. "Did you hear that?" one queried. "There seems to be some commotion behind us." "Damn it." The tycoon, on the brink of collapse, sat upright in alarm. "You mean the factory personnel and police are clashing?" "Indeed," the lawyer replied with difficulty. "The police and gang were ostensibly allies." "Shiba, hand me the phone." Meanwhile, on the battlefield, the director received a call, causing his scalp to prickle in trepidation. "Ceasefire! Ceasefire!" In an instant, both the police and gang halted their assault. "What the hell? Are we not fighting anymore?" The scar-faced man bellowed. "There's trouble at the factory. Those Chinese have taken over." Just then, one of his subordinates rushed over with the alarming news. The director was momentarily stunned. The factory, if the drugs were destroyed by the Chinese, he would bear the brunt of the consequences. "Drills are suspended. Everyone, charge with me and vanquish those Chinese bandits." The director led the charge alongside the scar-faced man into the factory. The police officers were left bewildered. A bizarre scene unfolded as the police chief of Han Island allied with the gangsters, united against the members of the Angels. The members of the Angels stood guard at the entrance, each brandishing weapons. Soon after, they collectively donned pig masks, declaring, "No one shall be spared." A member, wielding a heavy machine gun, advanced forward. "A heavy machine gun? Is this a war film?" "Retreat." The police chiefs of Han Island were thrown into a state of panic. The thunderous gunfire of the machine gun left both the police and gangsters bewildered. The arsenal of Han was indeed formidable. Ha ha ha, a rampage ensued. In a short span, the member armed with the machine gun sent the joint forces of the police and gangsters retreating in disarray. The viewers in the live broadcast were exhilarated. The scarred man could hardly believe that these Chinese individuals had managed to catch them off guard. Moreover, how could their terrifying firepower surpass theirs? Each had an AK. Ha ha. How does Grandpa's bullet taste? Little scoundrels, meet your demise. This onslaught directly injured several police chiefs. Naturally, a few members on their side were also wounded. The scene descended into chaos. Ding ding ding. Somewhere, at the International Police Headquarters, an officer answered a call. "Who is this? I have a case for you. Are you interested?" "What? A drug dealer? Are you sure?" The officer became serious, realizing that the case coincidentally unfolded on Han Island. "Of course, officer, but you need to give me a few minutes." "Why?" Beep beep. Hanley hung up the phone, gazing at the few honest gang members nearby. A smirk crept across his face as he coldly remarked, "Let the bullets fly for a while." Chapter 221, High and Mighty, you'll spend your days behind bars. The small fry in the sewers were of no concern to Han Li, who dispatched them effortlessly. Looking down, he saw the cart piled high with narcotics. With the goods in hand, it was time to retreat. Outside the factory, Liang and others responsible for the pickup arrived in their vehicle to collect Han Li, who emerged from the sewers. "So much. This is outrageous." Liang felt a chill run down his spine. The value of this haul was astronomical. Once in the vehicle, Han Li expressed his gratitude to the brothers guarding the entrance and began directing Liang to leave the factory via their previous escape route. Swish. A truck sped past, and a few eliminated snipers from Han Island licked their ice pops. Did something just pass by? I think I saw a monkey mask. Damn it. They escaped? Back in the factory, the gunfight was fierce. Although the members of the Angels were well armed, they were overwhelmed by sheer numbers. Gradually, the situation began to tilt unfavorably. "Don't worry, young master. We are on the brink of victory." The chief discreetly dialed a call to the tycoon. "I want that man Hanley captured." Without fail. Gradually, the members of the Angels were picked off one by one. Only then did the chief breathe a sigh of relief. "Haha, Shiba. I thought you truly had a chance to turn the tide. You nearly frightened me." "Heh. Did you genuinely believe you could triumph over our chief of the Han Island?" He gazed down upon the crowd. "Where's Hanley? Summon him forth. It is all over." The Angel leader spat contemptuously onto the ground, dismissively stating, "Who told you we have won? What do you mean? Haven't you all been eliminated?" Just as the chief of Han Island was still in a state of bewilderment, the scarred man who had gone to inspect the goods rushed over, panic-stricken, and exclaimed to the chief, "Madman! Madman! Damn those Huaxia people, he has made off with the goods." The chief stood frozen, dazed, exclaiming, "What did you say?" "Shiba." Observing all of this, the Angel leader erupted into laughter. The sacrifices of his comrades were worth it. Delightful. The people of Han Island must be seething with rage, ha! When the police of Han Island stormed deep into the factory, all they found was a red flag planted in the ground, emblazoned with, Peichi was here. Han Island Police. Shiba, what does this mean? So, we are the villains? It is utterly, shamelessly humiliating. Shiba, how could this Huaxia bandit be so audacious? The netizens of Han Island, observing this spectacle, were infuriated. This was the first time that their faces had been ground into the dirt in such a manner, each one's south smile frozen in place. Ha! How amusing. It is exhilarating. The Huaxia netizens were in an uproar, relishing the drama, their blood boiling. It was unclear whether it was intentional or accidental. But the media of Han Island arrived precisely when Han Li was departing with the goods. Good news. The police have eliminated many individuals. Bad news. The main culprit has escaped. How shall we report this? Chief, how do you feel about the elimination of so many? Chief, get lost. This is a heart-wrenching blow. Meanwhile, on the other side, Han Li drove, transporting that batch of goods, alongside A Liang and others, toward a certain location. What shall we do with the contraband? A Liang inquired. The contraband, naturally, must be returned to its rightful owner. Han Li replied with a smile, his gaze icy. Oh. A Liang felt a twinge of fear. As he spoke, Han Li took out his phone and dialed again. Moshi Moshi? Is it you? Indeed, officer. It is I once more. The Interpol officer stood up, excitement coursing through him. If he could seize a large stash of narcotics, his reputation would soar. Han Li, I will provide you with the location. Very well. The officer silently noted the address. Are you certain? I assure you. Han Li replied with a smile. Ending the call, he gazed at the screen, observing the latest updates from the conglomerate. Recently, a substantial order of drugs was placed, accompanied by an image of a man in a bathrobe embracing a woman. In a high-end hotel in Han Island, within a room, clothes strewn about, a woman donned stockings and smiled seductively. Mr. Zhang, do I look good like this? Very much so. Suddenly, a loud knocking resonated from outside the door. Who is it? It's nothing. It must be the arrival of my medication. The woman felt a sense of shyness. You are truly mischievous. Last time, I lay in bed for days and nights. The tycoon exited the living room and, upon reaching the door, glanced outside to see an exceptionally beautiful woman. Oh. He opened the door. Xiao Mimi smiled and asked, Mr. Zhang? Indeed, he replied. This order has been delivered to you. She gestured towards a small cart behind her laden with goods. The man stole a glance. Siba so much? Miss, would you like to join me? The tycoon thought Xiao Mimi could rival any star in the industry. Xiao Mimi waved her hand dismissively. No need. Sticking out her tongue, she hurriedly departed. Chuckling, the tycoon pushed the goods inside. Hey, you must admit, this is heavy. Siba, today I shall battle with it for 7 days and nights. With this thought, he first placed the goods into the storage room, then proceeded to the bathroom to frolic with the woman. Darling, I have a surprise for you. Oh. The woman was filled with anticipation. What could it be? Knock, knock, knock. A loud rapping echoed. The tycoon, filled with anger, wrapped a towel around himself and stormed out, shouting, You little rascal, what is all this noise? Be careful, or I might just kill you. Creak. The tycoon was taken aback. Outside stood a throng of fierce-looking undercover officers, led by a man who held up a badge. Interpol, someone has reported you for possessing contraband. Please cooperate with us. The tycoon's heartbeat quickened. Contraband? Ridiculous. He was no fool. Where would he have contraband? He remained haughty, retorting, Who gives you the authority? Do you know who I am? Let me tell you. Bang. However, to his astonishment, an officer from Interpol, a black man, delivered a swift kick. Stop chatting. Get inside and search. You. The tycoon was speechless. In an instant, all the officers surged inside, rummaging through everything, creating utter chaos. You're seeking death. If you don't find any contraband, I'll take you to court, and you'll all end up in prison. The tycoon bellowed, You little brats. You'll all perish. The black officer turned to an elderly detective beside him. Are you certain that the informant was truthful? This is a tycoon from Han Island. If we make a mistake. I know, the old detective replied, beads of sweat forming on his forehead, visibly anxious. For he too was taking a gamble. As time passed, with no results in sight, the tycoon began to smirk. He pointed at them one by one. Lawyer Chui, what should be the punishment for these intruders? Lawyer Chui, who had hurried over upon receiving the call, replied respectfully, life imprisonment, a minimum of 10 years. And up to 50. The faces of the officers turned grim. Ha ha ha, splendid. Just then, one officer shouted, What's in here? The tycoon replied, Nothing, officer. Just some enhancement pills, all for men, you understand. The old detective's eyes lit up. He strode to the storage room and yanked the door open. Suddenly, a multitude of bags tilted out all at once. Due to the force of the impact, several bags burst open. Instantly, on the floor lay a patch of powdery white substance. A detective picked it up, sampled it, and turned to the tycoon. Do you require narcotics? The tycoon was taken aback. How could this be? Where did this drug come from? The seasoned detective felt a surge of joy. He glanced at the mountain of drugs, his scalp tingling. This was worth billions. He had made the right bet. No, impossible. Someone is framing me. Yes, that woman. The tycoon exclaimed. The detective replied. We have both the person and the evidence. Do you think we are fools? Turning to his captain, he inquired. What will be the verdict? Life imprisonment, came the response. The older detective pulled out a handful of the powder, his expression grave. My dear, where is the surprise? The woman emerged, momentarily stunned. Before her stood the once mighty tycoon, now akin to a dog, kneeling on the ground, handcuffed by a multitude of detectives, utterly devoid of spirit. Oh my God, this surprise is terrifying. The woman shrieked. Lawyer Chui, save me. Lawyer Chui, witnessing the tycoon being taken away, retreated from the scene, silently exiting the hotel. Eventually, he paused before a black truck. Boss. The window rolled down. Han Li smiled. Thank you for your hard work, Lawyer Chui. Chapter 222. A new territory unveiled. City of Sin. The following day, the citizens of Han Island were stirred by news that kept them awake at night. A certain tycoon hoarded 35 tons of narcotics and has been captured by Interpol. He is expected to receive life imprisonment. It caused an uproar. That scoundrel was caught? The once untouchable tycoon, apprehended? Could this be an April Fool's joke? Yet, when the inspector released a photo of the tycoon's sentencing, the internet went into a frenzy. It's a celebration. Who was the brave soul behind this? I recognize him as my father. Shouldn't we erect a statue? Heaven has opened its eyes. It must be divine retribution. At the Han Island Police Department, countless officers hung their heads, yet their lips curled in glee. Only the higher-ups trembled in fear. The tycoon has been captured? Who is this Chinese individual? At the Interpol Han Island branch, the veteran detective who had just received the highest honor wore a broad smile as he exited. More than 30 tons of drugs, enough for the tycoon to drown in. He dialed the mysterious informant once more. Hello? Haha, thank you for your tip-off. May I inquire your name? No. The detective, unfazed, responded amiably. Then let us be friends. I'm Old James. Should you need anything in the future, feel free to reach out. All right. Beep, beep, beep. Old James hung up, glancing at the badge of the Interpol division chief pinned to his chest. His status was extraordinary. In Han Island, numerous tycoons caught wind of this news, instantly evaporating as if they had vanished from existence, fleeing the country overnight on planes to seek refuge. What is happening? You don't know? I heard that President Zhang was taken down by a Chinese individual and is now in deep trouble. Are you joking? A tycoon can't be sanctioned like that. Run away. I can't dare to return to China for a while. Take care. On the other side, beneath the setting sun, Han Li and Liang stood atop the mountain, savoring the breathtaking view. Regarding the eliminated comrades from this operation, Han Li was naturally generous, exchanging points for substantial rewards to bestow upon them, particularly the one wielding the heavy machine gun, who received the most. Old Qin remarked that their performance had been commendable, and a banquet would be held in Huaxia to celebrate. Liang said with a smile. Han Li, what are your plans upon returning? Han Li replied. I intend to continue participating in the program. After all, I have not yet been eliminated. Suddenly, Han Li's phone rang. He pulled it out to find an unfamiliar number. Who could it be? He wondered. Hello? A strange voice echoed from the other end. Is this contestant Han Li? Yes. Congratulations. You have triggered the program's Easter egg, Sin City. What? The call abruptly ended. Han Li was left bewildered. Sin City? He hastily logged onto the program's official website and discovered a significant update. Currently, the global rankings had undergone a drastic change, primarily due to the storm brought about by Han Li. To his astonishment, he had surged from 10th to 5th place in one breath. Such an ascent in ranking was no small feat, as even moving up one position previously had posed tremendous challenges. At that moment, a special notification popped up. Congratulations. Contestant Han Li, the Sin City region is now open to you. This meant he could venture into Sin City? What is going on? Xiao Mimi tilted her head and hesitated. You see, I helped as well. You must treat me to a meal. I have matters to attend to. You all go ahead. Han Li said hurriedly as he left, leaving Xiao Mimi in a state of confusion. Who am I? I am the clown. Liang erupted in laughter, clutching his stomach. Meanwhile, in a certain location in London, Q paused on the street, glancing at his phone with a knowing smile before answering. Hello, Han Li. Q. Did you receive the news? What news? Q feigned ignorance. Stop pretending. Sin City, what do you know about this place? Han Li inquired. If anyone could provide insight, it would undoubtedly be Q. Haha, I didn't expect you'd make it to Sin City. It seems you've broken into the global top 10. I'm familiar with that place. I spent some time there before. To put it plainly, it's a paradise for criminals, a lawless gathering of the most ferocious individuals on Earth, including past program contestants. Past contestants? Han Li felt a chill run down his spine, realizing the formidable nature of Sin City. What if I were to enter now? Q pondered for a moment. You might manage to last a month. A month? So, the fifth most notorious criminal in the world can only endure for a month? Han Li thought to himself. I see. This place is indeed a den of peril. I must tread carefully. Remember, Sin City operates on an entirely different level compared to the petty skirmishes outside. Q concluded before hanging up. Glancing at the London police officers sprawled on the ground, he chuckled. Is this all you have, old man? Not nearly sufficient for a city steeped in crime. Above, atop the grand edifice, stood a formidable figure, bare-chested with bulging muscles, adorned with an imposing tattoo of a demon on his back. He sat cross-legged at the pinnacle, surveying the chaos below. Smoke billowed, flames soared. The scene was rife with turmoil, gunfire, screams, and bloodshed. Countless criminals ran rampant, turning the chaos into a veritable feast. Each one was an international fugitive, at least rated 4 stars. The international community categorizes criminals by their threat level, ranging from the lowest 1 star to the highest 9 stars. The higher the rating, the more dangerous the individual. Unbeknownst to the mighty man, a squint-eyed figure stealthily approached from behind. Above these criminals, figures like him reigned supreme. The 3 sovereigns, 2 kings, and 1 demon, the highest echelons of the city of sin. I will kill you, the man declared, his eyes bloodshot. I am the new demon. In an instant, he vanished from 100 meters away and reappeared behind the man. Ninjutsu. Instant kill. I am Sasaki, a 6-star criminal. With a swift motion, his blade aimed for the man's neck. Success seemed imminent. Yet, in the next moment, he froze. The blade could not penetrate. Impossible. The man's physical resilience surpassed that of the blade? How can that be? The formidable figure showed no concern. He took a sip of his drink and casually remarked, "You? Not worthy." As soon as the words left his lips, a gunshot rang out. Sasaki, horrified, felt a gaping wound appear on his forehead and slowly collapsed beside the imposing figure as blood gushed forth. The man, savoring his strong liquor, gazed with fervor. This era is not yet for you young ones. Chapter 223, Rallying the Troops, Training the Underlings. Damn it. The President of the United States seethed, glaring at his trembling subordinates below. China is about to surpass us. Currently, the rankings indicated that China was on the brink of claiming the top spot. Mr. President, in my view, it's all that Han Li from China. He is simply extraordinary, racking up points as easily as drinking water. Word has it that Han Island has also faced his sanctions. Ultimately, the Americans concluded that the root cause of their troubles was Han Li, the greatest obstacle to the United States. He must be eliminated. If only there were a capable officer. The president suddenly recalled someone and spoke up. Remember, John is set to return, right? At this proclamation, the room erupted in astonishment. General John, if he intervenes, it could work. Soon, laughter filled the air. Meanwhile, in a distant land, the desert stretched endlessly. Amidst a desolate ruin, several trembling robbers raised their hands in surrender, their surroundings a scene of devastation. Are you the leader of the organization? A man removed his sunglasses, revealing his sharp canine teeth. I am John, a pleasure to meet you. Spare me, and I can provide you with valuable intelligence. John sighed. This cowardly demeanor was unmistakably not that of a leader. Take them away. The robber felt a profound sense of despair, momentarily believing that his adversary might spare him. John, you are a devil. Behind the robber, bullets littered the ground, and blood flowed like a river, with dismembered bodies strewn about. Viewed from above, it resembled a slaughterhouse. General John, your call, someone announced. John swiftly picked up the phone. Hello? John, there's a mission I need to assign to you. Understood, John replied, wiping the blood from his face, a smile emerging. No problem. It's just a contestant for a program, right? What is the latest on this Han Li? Is there a leader involved? A police officer inquired. I've heard he is qualified for the Sin City. Then we shall wait for him there. Having returned to Huaxia for only a few days, Han Li attended various banquets, though he merely observed from the shadows, relishing the joy of people celebrating the return of treasures. After parting with Elder Qin, he planned to head back to City C. During this time, Aoyang, Fat Wang, and Jie Long expressed a desire to accompany him, but due to their identities, they bid each other farewell. In City C, Joseph was reporting to Han Li about the recent developments of Angel across various nations. There is hope. We might launch this year. What about the charity? Joseph replied confidently, we may not be first, but second is within reach. That is good to hear. I've gathered some information about Sin City, Joseph continued. Han Li's heart raced as he realized Q was correct. This place was perilous. It resembled a hellish challenge. The criminals within were all 5-star rated, akin to placing a provincial champion on a national stage. In terms of danger, Han Li currently rated only 6.5 stars. After a moment of hesitation, he said, let us send someone to scout the area. We need to secure a substantial sum to establish connections. In this place, money still holds power. Indeed. Joseph nodded. What is the status at the factory? Everything is proceeding smoothly. How many people do we need to send to Sin City? Joseph asked cautiously. This location appears formidable, more challenging than before. I estimate it requires no less than 1,000. However, Han Li shook his head, rising to look at his subordinates outside, sighing, this time is different. Numbers won't suffice. What I need are elites. Reflecting on the previous operation in Han Island, despite the Angel members being well-armed and adequately staffed, they were still defeated by the police and the gang, primarily due to inadequate individual capabilities. This was untenable. As his direct organization, it was unacceptable to lack a few key pillars. Resolute, Han Li suddenly turned to Joseph and instructed, tomorrow, gather those qualified young individuals at the square. Joseph felt a chill run down his spine. Is this going to be training? The audience in the live stream reacted with confusion. Military training? The police chief remarked, indeed, it seems that General Han requires a few formidable subordinates. Currently, with Ling Han and the Elder absent, Han Li truly lacks powerful allies to support him. Understood. Joseph was naturally elated. The esteemed General Han himself was imparting instruction. and one could only imagine the remarkable progress that would ensue. The following day, this news ignited a fervor among all members of Angel. What? General Han is stepping onto the training ground? The very individual who fraternizes with the king of Somali pirates? Excitement ensued. On the morrow, at the playground, approximately 100 top students stood proudly in the center. General Han, these are all your elite. Joseph accompanied Han Li as he exited. Countless gazes fixated upon this legendary figure, the one who stirred the winds of change. How dashing. Even I, the Wu Yinzu of Foshan, must momentarily retreat into the shadows. The thrill was palpable. With his hands clasped behind his back, Han Li surveyed the scene, albeit somewhat perplexed. What is the meaning of this? I am conducting rigorous training, and yet you all appear as if attending a fan meeting. Coughing lightly, a sudden hush fell over the crowd. Today, I have gathered you all because I will select 30 of the elite from among you 100. I require only 30. A roar of astonishment erupted throughout the assembly. Their eyes widened, fists clenched, blood surging with fervor. Han Li continued, next, there will be a selection process. Those who succeed will move forward, while those who do not will unfortunately have to leave. If anyone wishes to avoid hardship, now is the moment to withdraw. A burly man stepped forward, his gaze fervently fixed on Han Li. Brother Han, I will undoubtedly remain. Instantly, the crowd erupted. Me too, they shouted in unison. Excellent, Han Li responded, visibly pleased. I wish you all the best of luck. With that, he turned and departed. Joseph stepped forward, taking the microphone, scoffing, enough talk. If you're a man, get on the bus, the selection begins. Boom. A fleet of vehicles came to a halt. Get on. Chapter 224. The Forest Selection, Lone Wolf Zhao Rui, ruthless and reticent. Where are we? It's so dark. Fool, take off the blindfold. Oh, my apologies, I was too nervous. The participants removed their blindfolds, gasping in astonishment. Before them lay an expansive forest, seemingly endless, its undulating mountains instilling a sense of dread. At the exit, Joseph, clad in instructor garb, assumed his authoritative role, declaring sternly, remember, this time, only the elite among the elite will remain. The objective is to traverse what is reputed to be the deepest forest in City C. The first 40 to emerge will stay. Traverse this forest? On foot? Goosebumps rippled through the crowd. This was exceedingly arduous. Is there no support? Get in there. Joseph barked. In an instant, the crowd erupted in complaints as they plunged into the forest. Only the first 40 would be permitted to stay. In summary, this time, more than 60 would be eliminated. It certainly won't be me. One exclaimed. Damn it, I can't see the path at all. Brothers, I am the champion of foot races. This will be a walk in the park. Viewers in the live stream were thrilled. For the first time, they witnessed the training of underlings by a criminal mastermind. What a spectacle. What is this? Selecting the most outstanding criminals? Incredible. Director of the show, is it possible to play like this? Impressive. Joseph watched as the last contestant entered the forest, then turned back to a shaded area on the hillside where several people were seated. Han Li took a sip of coffee. Not bad. Mr. Han. They have all entered. Han Li set his coffee cup down. You should prepare as well. All right. Joseph removed his instructor's uniform and donned the attire of a bandit. Grasping a firearm, behind him stood a group of similar bandits. Let these kids taste some hardship. Han Li observed everything unfolding in the forest through surveillance. The screen displayed various contestants' data, as each participant had been equipped with a data-tracking wristband beforehand. Han Li noticed one young man whose data remained almost eerily calm. Who is this person? Oh, his name is Zhao Rui. He was once a soldier and later a boxer, eventually becoming a boxing coach before joining. To maintain such composure under these circumstances is quite promising. Within the forest, no one noticed the drone hovering overhead. Countless contestants were panting, some sitting on the ground. Others sprawled out, tongues lolling like dogs. Damn, I'm exhausted. This forest is too eerie. I can't find a way out. I need to think of a plan. Just then, they vaguely saw a figure emerging through the mist. Who are you? Bang, bang, bang. Without a moment's hesitation, Joseph charged out, weapon drawn, and unleashed a barrage upon the few slackers. That hurts. Stop shooting, I surrender. Once the gunfire ceased, these young men were left bewildered, covered in paint. Brother Joseph, how come you're dressed like that, and here? And why did you shoot at us? Congratulations, you fools. You have been directly eliminated. With that, Joseph and the other pursuers departed. Damn, how treacherous. And armed like this? In an instant, gunfire erupted throughout the forest. Contestants were continuously eliminated amidst curses. Meanwhile, Han Li, sitting in the back, munched on potato chips, looking quite pleased. It seems Joseph and his team are quite dedicated. Brother Han, you are being too cruel. Not only do they have to trek across this entire forest, but you also have them ambushed. A devil. However, despite the harshness, some individuals persevered, even pulling ahead, forming the first echelon. Among them was Zhao Rui. Zhao Rui possessed keen counter-surveillance instincts and agile skills, impressive indeed. Especially just now, when a torrential rain fell in the forest. While the others sought shelter, he alone chased after the rain, opening his mouth to replenish his hydration. Han Li took a keen interest in Zhao Rui. He bore an aura reminiscent of Grandfather Chui. In the footage, Zhao Rui, hungry, resorted to gnawing on tree bark. its bitterness ineffective yet necessary, as he grimaced while consuming it. So bitter but truly delightful. Han Li savored his hot pot, the lamb and tripe abundantly piled, accompanied by a chilled cola, a delightful experience. The others questioned, is this truly acceptable? At that moment, Joseph's voice echoed, Mr. Han, we've eliminated more than 20. It's time to move to the next phase, isn't it? Han Li replied, indeed. Let us commence. Suddenly, in the depths of the forest, the weary contestants were startled by an unusual sound reverberating from above. What was that noise? Upon turning, they were struck with fear. What is happening? Run. A helicopter is approaching. In a shocking turn of events, a helicopter hovered above, where Joseph, wielding a heavy machine gun, smiled and announced, surprise, boys. A barrage of bullets ensued, swiftly eliminating several sluggish contenders. Goodness, Brother Han is a devil. Be human, lamented the fallen. It's so tough for us these days. The audience in the live stream could barely bear to watch. This is hell. What will you do? Han Li wondered with intrigue. Indeed. Zhao Rui was the first to devise a plan. He swiftly located a nearby pit and buried himself, camouflaging with leaves to evade the bullets. Joseph was baffled, hiding in a dog hole. Damn it. The eliminated contestants departed reluctantly. Thus, the numbers dwindled to 40, leaving 60, with 20 more to be cast aside. Hold on. Zhao Rui gritted his teeth, undeterred by the mud covering him. Crawling forward while keeping his eyes fixed on the sunlit direction ahead, freedom was near. However, an unexpected turn of events occurred as Zhao Rui found himself encircled by 2 or 3 members of the Angels. What do you want? One man chuckled, join us. And we'll let you go. Zhao Rui contemplated briefly before uttering a single word, scram. Such arrogance. A lone wolf is quick to perish. Each eliminated brother meant one less contender. Observing this unfold, Joseph questioned, isn't that a bit unfair? Han Li, however, remained unfazed. Intrigued instead, let us see what he is capable of. Suddenly, without warning, Zhao Rui seized a handful of dirt and flung it at them. Ah, get him. The trio recoiled instinctively. In that instant, Zhao Rui charged at the weakest among them, unleashing a flurry of punches. Immediately, the unfortunate soul collapsed, blood spilling from his mouth. He was a martial artist. With a resounding kick, Zhao Rui sent the second adversary flying, teeth scattering. What a madman. The remaining assailant could hardly believe such feats were possible. The livestream audience erupted in excitement. Did he just take out 2 elites in an instant? This kid's future is limitless. His physique was indeed extraordinary. Zhao Rui glared fiercely at him. Brother, spare me. As the saying goes, leave a thread for future encounters. But he was cut off before he could finish. Zhao Rui, exuding an aura of menace, swiftly subdued the man, forcing him into a state of frothing at the mouth. Joseph, in the helicopter, was on the verge of standing up in excitement. How extraordinary. Such a character. How had he not known of him before? Joseph, if you were to engage him, who would prevail? Perhaps a 40-60 chance in his favor, he replied. Han Li displayed a thrilling smile that sent shivers down the spines of the others, a grin akin to that of a predator who had just discovered its prey. Below the drone, Zhao Rui cast a glance, spat blood, said nothing, and turned to leave. Chapter 225, Multiple Jewelers Robbed, a Trial Run. The sky was draped in gloom. As Zhao Rui was the first to emerge from the forest, he cast a proud glance at the camp, seemingly taunting. Joseph gritted his teeth, infuriated by the audacity of this brat. No one was surprised by his first-place finish. It was a testament to his strength. Subsequently, more members exited the forest until the last one emerged, marking the conclusion of the selection process. Thank heavens, it was finally over. He thought to himself, I shall never return to this forest again. However, just as they settled down, they were ruthlessly drenched by a sudden spray of water, leaving them flustered. Han Li set down the hose and spoke gently. Tomorrow's special training will commence. If it does not meet expectations, I shall still eliminate those who fail. How heartless. A devil, indeed. Han Li was truly such a person. Would this special training involve practical exercises? A robbery, perhaps? Surely not. Special training in criminal activities? Meanwhile, backstage at the production crew, the staff were left dumbfounded. The selection of criminal elites was already absurd, and now there were plans for practical exercises? Such audacity. What does this audacity even mean? Director, are we not going to manage this? The director coughed. They are just children, still young. On the streets of City C, an undercover police officer strolled leisurely, as the security situation had been inexplicably high, with little to no crime occurring. The next moment, a black van screeched to a halt in front of a jewelry store. You lot, don't mess this up. Zhao Rui donned a skull mask and led the charge. Stepping out of the vehicle, the other members inside nodded in agreement. Unexpectedly, the so-called special training was indeed a heist at a jewelry store. Zhao Rui naturally assumed the role of leader. Hey, what are you doing? The police officer approached an inquiry. Without a glance, Zhao Rui raised his submachine gun and ruthlessly unleashed a barrage upon the officer. Decisive and ruthless. One could predict he would become a valuable asset to Han Li in the future. How impressive. Zhao Rui heard Han Li's voice over the radio. You have only 10 minutes. After 10 minutes, the police in City C will collectively pursue you. Should you be apprehended then, I shall not be able to assist you. Consider this an assessment. Beep. Han Li was taken aback. How dare they hang up on him? Inside the jewelry store, Zhao Rui first shot out the surveillance camera at the entrance before pulling out 2 smoke grenades and tossing them at the doorway, providing cover for the others to enter. In an instant, the jewelry store was enveloped in smoke. Such awareness. Han Li thought, this is acceptable. Thus, the outside world could not discern the happenings within. Indeed, Zhao Rui, unlike others, was the first to consider concealing their movements. As expected, within moments, under his decisive command, the jewelry store was promptly secured. Ha ha ha, it's nothing. I can handle it alone. Zhao Rui, are you being overly cautious? The members tossed the bags onto the counter, instructing the staff to fill them with jewels. Yet, Zhao Rui remained unmoving. What is the matter? Zhao Rui scanned the heads and suddenly remarked, one is missing. The staff collectively froze, a chill creeping over them. According to the prior information, there should still be 1 security guard. Where could he be? Zhao Rui's sharp gaze quickly detected that several employees, seemingly anxious, instinctively glanced towards the restroom. In the next moment, before anyone could react, Zhao Rui swiftly approached the restroom and kicked the stall door open. Inside, the security guard, phone in hand, was left dumbfounded. The viewers in the live stream erupted with excitement. Is that President Han? The second Han Li? Impressive. At that instant, the guard suddenly raised his hand. However, Zhao Rui had already taken the initiative, firing a shot that struck the guard's forehead. You have been eliminated. Damn. The guard gritted his teeth in fury. This robber is formidable. What did you say? The police headquarters in City C had not been this lively in quite some time. Indeed, news had arrived that a jewelry store had been robbed. Was it Han Li? No, but they were also wearing masks. The director paced. Relieved it was not Han Li, then instructed, you lead the team to apprehend them. Yes, hopefully, this is not related to Han Li. By the way, also call Lu Dong. At this moment, Lu Dong, returning to City C, was summoned to capture a gang. Yawning, he surveyed the scene. The opposing party was quite experienced. First, they obscured visibility, then disabled the surveillance, completely sealing off the flow of information. Another ruthless character. How many are there? Lu's preliminary assessment suggested there were likely 4 individuals. Lu Dong, how many minutes have passed? 20 minutes. This is bad. Suddenly, a police officer received a phone call, panic-stricken. Meanwhile, at a jewelry store on a street, the manager had just tidied himself up and stepped out to greet customers. Unexpectedly, while welcoming guests, they were met not by good people. Boss, may I borrow your jewels? A fierce-looking man, wearing a stone Buddha mask and brandishing a shotgun, roared. Instantly, several robbers ransacked the jewelry store. The sound of gunfire shattered the tranquility. Hurry, President Han has given us 10 minutes. Yes. Buzzing, seal the doors shut. Do not let the hostages escape. Han Li's voice echoed. The stone Buddha obeyed. Seal the doors. Immediately afterward, Han Li turned to another side, where 4 robbers scattered a box of jewels onto the street, inciting a frenzy among the crowd, plunging the scene into chaos. At that moment,